Okay. We're live.
Welcome back to the podcast.
Welcome back, gang.
I am Yams. That is Sean. We are the 6-Inch Kings.
Big fact.
And we're here to goof off for a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm. We're here to spread a little joy. Not our manager.
Oh,
that was weird.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Sometimes I really don't think about what I'm saying before I say it.
Well, her name is just so easy to
just
play
so
with.
easy to say on accident, and then
Yeah.
you've said it, and you have to really consider the implications.
It's like I'm filled with joy.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa,
Oh,
she's
man,
not.
more like joy's filled with me. Anyway, I'm going to have to cut all of that. Okay, I know we just started.
Uh-huh. You gotta poop?
No, never mind. I was going to say I got to grab my vape, but it's right here in my pocket.
No, it's in your pocket. Your little stay
Thank
strap.
Christ, bro. Otherwise, this would have been a lost episode. All right, gang. So me and Yams are here. Do we say what day it is? It's Monday.
It's Monday.
October 11th.
We got Monday blues.
As we record. Work tomorrow. So, it's a whole thing.
Just another week of being humans.
Being a couple of boys out here just living our lives.
Being a couple boys. It's been a weird couple weeks around our household. I don't know what. Maybe it's the Mercury's in retrograde or something.
I think you might have something going on medically.
Maybe.
Because we've both been going through it for different reasons, but you have been like, every
I've
day
just
you
been
wake up and
sleeping.
you're like, I feel like garbage, trash human.
Yeah. I wake up, I feel like shit, and then I either go to the gym or I go back to sleep.
Yeah. Either way you go, you're going to get some more sleep before you finish the rest of your day.
Yeah.
You're a big nap guy.
Oh, yeah.
I
nap
admire
like 3
that
times
so
a
much.
day.
I wish I could nap, bro. It's so rare that I can get a nap. And if I do, I think I'm traumatized because when I was a kid, I would like wear myself out in the day and then fall asleep for a nap and wake up at dinner time. And that just feels like dying.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, I lost a whole fucking day.
Yeah. And then when you try to go to sleep,
You can't sleep.
you can't sleep.
Yeah.
You're like up till like 2 a.m. But
Yeah.
then as a kid, you still gotta wake up at 7 a.m. for school.
Yes, bro. Oh my God.
Not so much now. I mean,
Let's not even open up that bag of trauma that I have from having to wake up early. Quit a 6-figure job so I wouldn't have to wake up early. That's how much I detest early mornings. I mean, not the mornings themselves.
dude, the
but,
most
like,
trauma
getting-
I can remember from waking up early is like living in Kansas and waking up at like 7 a.m. and it being like during the winter time being so fucking cold.
Yeah.
And then I was one of those kids that like every day I would shower before school.
Uh-huh.
So I'd have to shower in the freezing cold. And I would just get out of the shower like shivering. And I'd be like, okay, I'm getting ready for work.
Imagine, bro. Oh my God. I don't know. For better or for worse, I was raised as a shower before bed, not after you wake up kind of person. I think my lucky stars all the time, bro. Like,
I don't know. Showering
some
before
people do
bed is
both.
tough. Yeah, showering twice though is excessive.
I think so. Some
like
people
you're
would say we're
wasting
gross for
water.
that, but it is wasting water. And also, if you're showering, here's my thought process. And of course, I'm biased because of the way I was raised.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never discussed this with my parents, but it's just a logic that I found in it.
Uh-huh.
If you shower right before you go to sleep, as long as you're not waking up and running a marathon in your sleep, then you're going to be clean when you wake up.
Yeah.
What are you
Well,
doing in bed that you're going to be dirty?
After I started going to college and I didn't have to shower in the morning. I was also a shower before bed kind of person. And sometimes the only thing that I have against it is like sometimes you wake up and your like hair's a mess
Yes.
and there's really nothing you can
There's
do
nothing
unless
can
you
do.
shower.
Yeah, true. And if you're going to wet your head to style your hair, you might as well shower.
You might as well
It's
shower.
such a mess.
Especially once your hair gets longer, like mine has been getting.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why now I've switched over. I also go to the gym before work now, and I can't go to work unless I shower after the gym. That would just be unfortunate.
Oh,
for
yeah, of course.
everybody.
That's a totally different. No matter what, after the gym, you got to shower.
Yeah.
That's just.
But
madness.
I've never been a 2 shower a day kind of
No, I
guy.
don't think
I'm
I
like
have either.
stubborn in the way that like I'm like I already showered. Even if I shower and I get like a little sweaty, I'm like I'll just wait till
We'll
tomorrow.
figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My primary thing that has kept me a before bed shower person for my entire adulthood is when I get home, I'm dirty. I'm sweaty, bro. I've been working.
Yeah.
And I don't get. And I never really thought about this until like people in high school gave me shit for not showering in the morning. They were like, "Oh, what? That's dirty."
Gross.
And I'm like, "Bro, are you telling me you get home, you get your dirty high school ass home at the end of the day, and you aren't showering? You're sleeping in filth, and then and then you're waking up in the morning and shower. I mean, you're getting clean either way.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's something about like getting straight out of the shower and sliding up in between them sheets.
Mm-hmm.
Boy.
True.
Something about it.
Dude, my freshman year of high school, I went to a really small school. And freshman year, you take your class like athletics or, you have that choice, like PE, your version of PE.
Sure.
And we would have our PE early in the morning.
Oh.
So we'd have PE early in the morning.
There's nothing worse in the world, bro.
And in my high school, we didn't have showers.
Yeah.
So
even if you did, most people wouldn't use them.
We would straight up go hard as fuck at PE. Like 8 o'clock in the morning, hour and a half passes by. We go back to the locker room or a room where we changed. And we would literally just throw in another coat of deodorant, spray a fuck ton of just like Axe or whatever the hell people had, and just go to class.
Dude.
And like when we were doing it, we are like, oh, this is fun. Like, whatever. But in hindsight, I'm like, dog.
Everyone in y'all's class after PE was like,
what the fuck is that? It's just a concoction of sweat.
Dude.
And
God,
Axe.
nothing will take me back to middle school faster than like a strong whiff of Axe.
Yeah.
Bro, it's crazy. That reference in fucking Ted Lasso,
unparalleled, dude. They don't call it Axe here.
Yeah,
what they call it? Lynx or some shit.
Yeah. My favorite, what does he say? My favorite
pastime. I don't know.
No, it's my favorite something cat. I wanted to say jungle cat, but it's like my favorite something cat. Big cat, strong cat, predator
Big cat. Shout out Big Cat on Barstool Sports.
Yeah, Big Cat. What's up, dog? Get assigned. What's up, dude? Dude, when we were at Lost Lands, little divergence, we were camping next to this group. They were cool as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And if you'll ever see this, shout out Lost Lands neighbors. You know who you are because you recognize me.
Yeah, we gave them business cards.
They had a big Barstool flag, like totem.
Hey.
Totems are a big deal at festivals.
Yeah.
And they had a Barstool one, and I was like, why are they repping Barstool so hard? Turns out one of them worked there. Yeah. One of them was like
cool.
a local rep for their school, I guess. I'm not sure.
That's cool.
Yeah, they ended up being so cool, bro.
Yeah.
And also,
if you work for Barstool, you're probably
fucking hot. The girls and the boys.
Yeah, if you work for Barstool, you're probably really cool.
Yeah.
Because Barstool, I mean, the whole vibe of Barstool is like you're just a cool kid.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I've been dealing with like a little bit of a stigma with Barstool. I just have, I mean, to begin with, my initial perception of Barstool was that it's like a sports coverage company or like a sports media company, and I'm not a big sports boy.
Yeah.
Although I'm becoming more of one as I get older. I think it's inevitable. Every old white man is into football or baseball. I mean, both are true. As many sports as they can get, really. Anything that reminds you of your youth. And so, but anyway, yeah, there was a moment at work when Joy was like, singing praises about our podcast because it's such a great podcast. And she was like, it would be really cool someday if you guys got signed to Barstool. And initially I was like, fuck Barstool.
We don't have Barstool. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not Barstool energy. And then I like thought about our podcast and I was like, we literally spent like a whole episode talking about boners.
Yeah.
I was like,
That's
we
Barstool,
kind of
dude.
have a Barstool vibe. Yeah.
That's Barstool.
But then, it's kind of the best vibe to have of a podcast because we can get as deep as we want to, but we don't have to. So that's cool.
Yeah. I don't know what to classify Barstool as.
I mean, I still think
They're just a media company.
They are, definitely a media company. They do definitely, I don't know if this is a term that someone has already coined or if I'm coining it right now, but they're a very bro-forward media production company. Or like media, not even production, but distribution company.
There we go. That's the word.
They're
that's
very
that's
bro-y.
a good keyword.
I never thought about that until Ariel said it one day. Shout out Ariel, I love you.
She said bro-y?
Well, yeah, I think so. We were at Lost Lands and we caught this DJ Brondo, who's like one of my absolute favorites.
Okay.
And I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm putting him down, but he's a much smaller time DJ right now. He played the smallest stage there at like 2 a.m. on the last day, which was really the best way in a way because it was very intimate. Like anytime there was a break in the music for like a moment, I could like yell something out and I knew for a fact he heard
it.
Yeah. It was so dope, bro. Which only
You're killing it, bro.
Yeah. I just was like, I want to have your baby, Brondo. But this dude, bro, we'll get into Brondo like in depth probably another time because I'm actually kind of weirdly obsessed with him. And
Where's he from?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know anything much about him personally, but I just
a big fan of his
I
music?
go to his show every time I can. His shit is super dope. His musical style, like the sounds that he always like comes back to are super dope. And his music, which I didn't think about this until Ariel told me, is very, very bro-y.
Bro-y. How do you have broy music.
So let me explain. For a good example is like one of his songs. I wish I could play it right now. I won't even.
We're gonna get demonetized.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do it. But one of his songs starts with this clip that people. First off, one of his songs starts with the banana bread at work clip.
Banana bread at work, dude.
The whole thing. he plays the whole thing and then it jumps into his song.
That's hilarious.
And then there's another one where this girl is on the phone with her boyfriend, and and she's saying something like, "Are you just at home watching porn by yourself?" And he's like, "Of course not. I'm with my boys." And then the beat drops and it's sick as fuck. It's just like a lot of
like a Vine.
Yeah, for sure. It is.
He looks like a bro. I'm looking at pictures of him right now.
Yeah, he is a bro. And
oh, look at that.
Dude, I was
fucking goatee. Sorry.
Yeah, he's got a nasty goatee. I was telling Ariel, because we were walking away from his set at 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, Ariel, I don't know. And Ariel and I have been to see him before at 9 p.m., which was previously Ava Center. You've been there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just obsessed with him. I think he's got a really, really good sound. I keep telling people he's the next Excision, which
really?
We'll see about that. But honestly, bro, he's come up in a big way. He played for a sold-out show at Red Rocks in Colorado last week. For Illenium.
Oh, really?
Not opening for Illenium, but he was one of the DJs before Illenium.
Before.
And I've just really what I am is caught up on the idea that I'm being a hipster here, and I found this guy before he became huge.
Uh-huh.
And I'm really excited to watch him become huge, because in my head, there's just no way he's not. He's so good at it. But also his vibes are impeccable.
Mm-hmm.
He has even just him as a person, he looks like such a specific guy, and he leans into it.
Yeah.
With his
That's
hair.
The best.
Yeah, it really is. He's confident about himself,
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling Ariel, bro, I watch this, and I was also, pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, I'm watching this guy on the stage, and I feel like I see myself up there, dude.
It's looking at a mirror, dude.
Yeah, bro. Just I don't know. He's a cool guy. Anyway, all that to say, he plays very broy sets. We've got a very broy podcast going on. I can't wait to change that when we get some more feminine podcast guests on later in our career.
I can't wait, dude. We need some feminine energy over here.
Speaking of which, we've had a lot of feedback on our last episode where we had
our first guest,
Pat O'Driscoll, on Potty Mouth Pat.
Potty Mouth Pat.
We actually got a lot of good feedback on that. Pat, just so you know, a lot of people were glad to hear from you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Very entertaining podcast.
Mm-hmm, for sure. One person I know said it was the best episode we've put up so far, which, I mean, who am I to say? But I'm glad to hear that people feel that way.
I know, dude. Getting better as time goes on.
I'd like to think every episode we put out is the new best episode we've ever put out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was cool, and I'm really excited to have more guests on. Hopefully sooner rather than later. We've been talking about that a lot this week.
Yeah, we kind of have schedule, not a set schedule, but we have certain people we want.
We have
at
a roster.
Times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a roster, and as soon as we get a hardware set up where we can support having guests on regularly, because as I'm sure everyone realized, the audio quality that we had last week was less than ideal.
Yeah.
But every episode is a learning experience, and we're moving up with every episode. And as soon as we can get a little bit better setup here with a couple of more high quality mics, we're going to be really excited to have a few more guests on. It's going to be a great show.
With that being said, though, if you want to get on this podcast, you better have some shit to say.
Yeah,
because a lot of people are like, "When am I going to be on the podcast?" And I'm always like, "What are we going to talk about?
That's the thing.
What do you have to contribute?"
That's the thing.
Because we got a dynamic here.
Mm-hmm. Boy, don't we?
we got our little dynamic here, and throwing somebody else in the mix, if you're not already having something you want to talk about, is so what's up, dude?
And I was actually just telling Joy the other night, that actually makes me, I've thought so much about it, bro, because I've thought about starting a podcast for a decade now, or the better part of a decade. And I've wanted to start a podcast with a handful of people that I've known in my life, but you were the first person that I actually did it with. Mm-hmm. And I was telling Joy, we are so lucky, blessed, whatever you want to call it, that we have a dynamic where you and I literally, realistically, bro, we spend every day together almost. We are very rarely not together. Uh-huh. And even then, we never stop talking. Yeah. We always have something to talk about. We have blessed chemistry.
Yeah.
And it makes me really nervous to put that on the line in a way for an episode of the podcast by having a guest on. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, anyone that we're going to have on is someone who we both probably know pretty well, and we definitely have good chemistry with. But for me personally, when I listen to podcasts, I like it being the same people every week.
Yeah.
And so I'm very comfortable with that, and I'm very comfortable talking to you. And so I'm excited to have guests on. But I think personally for me, the bar is a little higher for whoever we might decide to have on.
I think it's also a fear of like, I know you pretty well, you know me pretty well. We know our boundaries and we know what not to talk about or what not. And if we have like a certain guest on and they start talking about something, we're just going to like look at each other and be like,
exactly. Yeah. Because we both know exactly where we want this podcast to go and like the vibe we want it to be. And we don't want anyone who comes on and says some outlandish shit where I end up having to cut like 30 minutes out of the episode because they were going off about something ridiculous, you know? Not to say that Pat was like that, because he wasn't.
No.
And we're not saying this stuff like in reflection of Pat. This is just thoughts that we've had about having guests on since day one.
Yeah. And we weren't prepared to have Pat on as our
honestly,
first guest.
We didn't even know we were having Pat on until a couple hours before we did.
Yeah.
Which was
that's why his audio was so
that's why his audio was so sketchy. But as far as first guests of a podcast go, especially a surprise first guest, it was great.
It was good. We got pretty drunk and we talked about a lot of things.
Yeah, so, we did get pretty drunk.
As the boys do when they get together.
Yeah. Also, if anyone watched the video for last week's episode and was bummed that you didn't get to see the soles of my feet, if you want to subscribe,
to the 6 Inch Kings OnlyFans,
the OnlyFans, bro, you can get that action. Dude, but I did wear socks this week so that we don't have to worry about that.
You know what I think we should do? I've always wanted to like have a calendar of like just obscure funny pictures. To make
a calendar.
Why don't we make a calendar?
We have half of a calendar made already just with the shit we've posted before of us.
Yeah, but we gotta get raunchier, dude.
Oh, we'll get
raunchy,
boy.
You know, we gotta sell it at a local table. You know, when they have events around Houston.
Yeah.
Where you're like
farmers market.
Yeah. And we'll just be at the table with our 6 Inch Kings podcast sign, and we'll have shirts. Hopefully, we'll have calendars.
Yeah.
We'll have molded dildos. Whatever you need.
Oh yeah, faux show. Molded dildos of our wieners. Absolutely.
Dude, remember what is that show with like Zac Efron and they're like the frat Netflix guys?
Show? Neighbors.
Neighbors.
Yeah.
Remember they were selling their molded penis
were they?
dildo? Yeah, that's where I got the idea from. They're like sitting on campus selling their molded penis
that
dildos.
Is so fucking funny. Bro, you know, I don't know how into like the porn industry you are, but that's a really big thing. Not for male porn stars. I mean, that does exist.
What do you mean? For female porn stars?
Yeah.
Molds of their
vagine?
Their hms. How do you get a mold of your...
So,
what?
You heard of a Fleshlight, right?
Yeah.
So Fleshlight has deals with almost all of the big porn stars. Mom, I'm so sorry if you're listening to this, but I don't think she is. I don't think she even knows about it yet.
Yeah, I haven't told my mom about it.
You're not gonna.
Well, just the name alone.
You can't. My mom knows about the sign at least. Anyway, Fleshlight has deals with all the big porn stars, or a lot of the big porn stars, where supposedly it's a mold of their hoo-hoos that you can buy. Now, realistically, I can tell you that it's not a mold of the inside of their hoo-has. It's just like the surface.
It's just the surface.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's worth paying more money for. I honestly don't even know if it costs more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like a thing.
I think it's just marketing.
I mean, it's definitely definitely marketing. I mean, they do take a mold, so it's cool. Like you can compare pictures and see that it's the same or close to the same. You know.
We should buy one and really see, just in case. For science.
What if I told you that I know firsthand? I lived in the desert for 5 years alone.
You did. Dude, that's the funniest thing about you, bro. You're such a social and like outgoing person. To imagine you
alone
for 5 years,
and my only social interaction was with shitty old racist people,
old white Trump supporters.
Yeah, or even more racist Hispanic Trump supporters,
which is such a
weird oxymoron. Yeah,
that's funny.
So yeah, the molds are pretty accurate, I'd say. So anyway, now that we've covered that, dude, if we could get Fleshlight to sponsor this podcast, I don't think they sponsor podcasts anymore, but they sponsored Rogan's podcast.
Did they?
They were his first sponsor ever.
Fleshlight?
Way back in the day. Yeah.
Shout out Fleshlight.
And you know what, bro? I'm not gonna say. I mean, first off, I didn't use Rogan's promo code, but that was like a tonal shift in my life. Because Rogan's podcast was the first podcast I ever listened to regularly because a friend turned me onto it. And then eventually he picked them up as a sponsor. And it was just so... I've never heard about anyone ever, like talking about sex toys for men in a public setting. It's just so...
It's like the first exposure.
It was so frowned upon. Yeah, very taboo. And then he normalized it in such a big way, for me at least. He was like, "Come on, bro. What are you just jacking off in there with your hand, bro?
With your hand?
Get a flashlight, bro.
Their calloused ass hand, no lube."
He would have guests on the flashlight, or he would have guests on the podcast, and he would do the. So way back in the day, Rogan would do his sponsor spots only at the beginning and end.
Yeah.
But he would do it live with the guest there. And he would do the sponsor spot, and then that would always just end up being the first topic because it was so crazy. And so the guest would be like, "Bro, what the fuck?
What? You're sponsored by?"
And he would be like, "Yeah, man. You ever used one of these?" And obviously,
he would pull one out of his pocket.
Every guest is like, "No, I have never used one." And he was like, "Oh, well, here, bro. I literally have a box of them right here." And he would give him like 2. And he would be like, "Take them home,
just in case you wear out the first one."
I'm not gonna lie, I've had 2.
Yeah. I mean, sex toys for men have been really taboo. I mean, sex toys in general have been taboo. Yeah. I think women have really taken that upon themselves.
Yeah, and
run with it.
Good for them.
Listen.
Yeah.
Great. Now us as men need to come out and be like, "Hey,
yeah,
I want to fuck this plastic silicone vagina. Don't look at me weird."
Sure. Well, I'd like to say I'm there. It's so funny. Oh man, I've actually never said out loud, like, to public that I that I own. I mean, I only own one now.
Well, listen, bro, we're sexually awakened here.
Yeah, we are.
It's 2021,
and the truth is, as I've gotten older, I've become more loosey goosey with that knowledge. There was a time where when there was a time when like
intended or no.
No pun intended. Anyway, there was a time where...
Who's Goosey, dude?
That's the name of the other one, bro. It was Riley Reid and Goosey.
Riley Reid and Goosey.
Oh, man. Anyway, bro. Yeah, there was a time when if I had people coming over, I would like take those things and put them in like a box inside a box inside a box with a lock on it. And I was like, nobody's gonna fucking know.
Nobody's gonna know.
And now, like, I forget where I have them.
That's funny.
Like, I'll tell someone.
Well, we can go look for them.
I'll bring them out right now. I know where they are. I just mean like I'll send someone. Someone will be like, "Hey man, do you have like some Q-tips?" I'll be like, "Yeah, they're in the drawer in the bathroom." And then they go and I'm like,
Wait a minute.
Oh fuck! You know what else is in the drawer in the bathroom? So yeah, it's been a good life so far.
That's funny. I've never really had any experience with male sex toys.
Yeah. I mean, they're so limited. It's really just the flashlight, unless you're down to put stuff in your
There was a show
keister
that I watched in high school on Netflix called Blue Mountain State. I feel like it didn't get as much as attention as it should have, but I feel like it was such a funny, raunchy show. It was about this backup quarterback in college who just partied and had a lot of sex, and it was one of those shows. And one of the episodes, the whole football team had this thing called a pocket pussy.
Mm-hmm. That's what a flashlight is.
Yeah,
basically.
and I mean they would call it a pocket pussy, and the whole team would use it for like good luck during the game. and the funny thing is, me and my friends in high school, we all kind of watched the show at the same time because we all talked about it, and we were like,
should we get a
pocket pussy? Just like for fun. And we did that, and I only ever used it one time.
Y'all shared one?
Yeah, but I mean, I cleaned it before and after. Listen, you're stigmatizing.
I'm not
stigmatizing right now, and we just had a whole conversation.
I'm not trying to stigmatize it. I'm just saying it's so funny that y'all shared it.
I mean, we didn't. I mean, I don't know how often
you
they
cleaned
used
it. That's and hey,
I had it. Bro? I had it for a day.
I've shared grosser things.
Yeah, true. I've had it for a day. I had it for like a day or two. I used it one time.
Yes. How good
cleaned
was
it before. It was actually pretty nice.
Yeah, it's fucking sick.
I mean, yeah.
Did it have
way better than my hand?
Did it have a plastic case that it stayed in, or was it just a silicone?
It was just a silicone little thing.
I feel you. I used to take my flashlight out of the plastic case and just use it that way.
Yeah, I don't even know anything.
Apply pressure, bro.
Yeah, I don't know anything about a plastic case, but it was just a silicone thing. Cleaned it beforehand with soap and all that.
Yeah.
Used it, cleaned it after with soap, and then I passed it along.
I mean, if you're nothing if not a clean man.
Yeah,
and I've always said that.
And I don't know. I honestly, to this day, don't know who all used it.
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know who used it.
Everyone who had it used it. Probably. It would be silly to think otherwise.
Yeah. But that and I had an ex-girlfriend win like a what are they called? A penis pump.
Okay.
Like off of like a drag bingo thing.
Sure.
And we tried to use that one night, and it was cool, but I didn't really understand. It was a big like gadget.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I?
It just applies a lot of suction to your.
Yeah, I was like,
wiener,
what am I supposed to do? I had it in there for a little bit, and then I took it out, and I was like, okay. And then we did our thing.
Yeah.
And those are the only experiences I had.
Gotcha.
With any sort of sex.
You know, this is getting real X-rated, but I just want to say I think the real move, like using a penis pump on yourself, if you, from what I've seen in videos, I've never done it myself, but I probably will because I'm a goddamn degenerate. Not to say that you are a degenerate, but if you do it the right way, I think it like engorges your penis in a crazy way.
It takes all the blood,
sucks a lot of blood in there,
really gets it going. Yeah,
but I think
that's really what all boners are.
I think the real secret move, bro, is to put that thing in other places. Not on you, but on a girl. Her. Yeah, dude. Because you can pump any body part if you can form a seal. And I've seen some videos out there, bro, with body parts on girls pumped into like to excess. I think these are people who like this is their whole thing and they go crazy with it. Yeah. But you can pump the female anatomy into a place where it is so engorged with blood.
We're talking about titties, right?
No,
I'm just kidding.
I mean, you can do titties also, and I've seen that as well.
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, you can pump a little hoo-ha until it is. This I might cut this. This is really grotesque. Like I don't want to say it's grotesque, but it's just very vulgar.
So X-rated. Anyways, to wrap this up, all this to just say, men, if you want to use a sex toy, use a sex toy.
And don't let anyone make you feel guilty or gross or dirty about it, because women have been using sex toys since the beginning of goddamn time. Yeah. And we all deserve to be able to enjoy ourselves in the privacy of our own goddamn homes. So anyway, about Squid Game. Should we get into that? Or
let's preface. Toys? Yeah, let's move from sex toys to Squid Game. Let's do that. We're going in alphabetical order.
So I'm going to say right now, here is your big honking spoiler warning.
Yes.
And I will edit in a time that you can skip to avoid all those spoilers. If you haven't seen Squid Game yet and you want to watch it and you don't want to catch these spoilers, you can go to this time that you hear right now. 1 hour, 19 minutes, 36 seconds. And you'll skip all the spoilers. So we're getting into the spoilers now. Yes. So pause it if you're trying to get away from it.
So me and Sean, I've been wanting to watch Squid Game since it came out. I've heard a lot about it. Me and you blew through this.
Oh yeah, in 2 days.
I would say within 24 hours.
Yes,
we started it. We started it last night at like 7 p.m.
Yeah.
We watched like 5 episodes and then we went to sleep and then we woke up and the first thing we did was finish the rest of it.
Yes.
So it's really deeply ingrained.
Yes. It's all very fresh in our minds right now.
Yeah. So it's fairly fresh in our mind, and I don't know how to describe how I'm feeling after finishing it. I feel weird though.
Yeah, it definitely took us through some stuff.
It took us through a roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah, for sure.
And I feel like a different person because of it.
I will say, well, I think what we're going to end up doing here is going through each episode and kind of giving our feedback on it, or our feelings about it, not feedback. I mean, obviously we're not here to tell the show makers how to do their jobs. But I'll save my feelings about the show as a whole until after we get through all the episodes.
Okay, so let's go through it. So it starts off episode 1, red light, green light. It's really where our protagonist, we kind of get a deep dive into like who he is as a person and how he has come to being. He owes like how much money? Like millions
of won, probably hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands.
Do you remember how he ran to owe that money though?
He's borrowing money to
gamble. So he's like a big gambling addict.
As we learned later in the show, I don't know where his gambling problem began, but he had a job for a long time working in a car manufacturing plant, and then they fucked everyone over in that car manufacturing plant.
That whole strike. But yeah, so the first episode really just gives us context. Nothing really happens in the first episode.
I mean,
it's just...
To be fair, even in the first episode, he's in the games.
Yeah.
Like the first game happens in the first episode.
Oh, that was crazy.
Yeah, that was super crazy, bro. Red light, green light?
Yeah.
And I mean, So I guess let's try to go through it. He meets the guy in the subway and plays, I don't remember the name of the game, but the one where they throw down the squares on each other to try to flip it. And every time, they're supposed to win, I think 100 won.
100,000 or 50,000 or something,
or 10,000 or something like that for every time they win a round. And the guy tells him, if you don't have the money to pay me every time you lose, I get to slap you instead.
Slap the fuck out of you.
And he gets slapped so many times, bro. He gets slapped so many times.
His face turns like purple. It's really funny, actually.
And then the guy is like, there's other games like this where you can win a lot more. Here's my card. Call if you want to come play.
Yeah.
And he also reveals at that point that he knows a lot about him. Like he knows his name. He knows that he just signed away his rights to his body.
Kidney. Yeah.
Which is a weird thing, Korea. I don't know if that's real or not. It's probably not real.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Signing away a body part. How old he is, his daughter.
Yeah, he knows everything about him.
He knows everything about him. So these guys are really on top of people. Yeah. And that happens, and it takes him a while to like get the courage to do it, but he eventually was like, fuck it, they do it.
He does it, and he gets the last spot.
Yeah.
In his like
Number
cohort.
456, dude.
Yeah.
456 people though.
Oh, and I mean, everyone who's watching or listening right now knows how the show goes, so nothing we say is spoilers for y'all. He's the only fucking one out of 456 people who lives.
Yeah.
Or I guess technically he's one of two that lives, if we're counting the old man, player one.
Counting player one, but the first game that they played, when they just shot down everybody, they lost a little over half their players.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
I was like, yo.
Yeah, and in a way,
it really set a precedent for the show.
It super set a precedent, and it was also by far like the easiest game.
Yeah,
I mean, all the games were relatively easy. They were all children's games. But
it was kind of like somebody weeding out all the people who don't deserve to be there. As soon as that first guy died and everybody started panicking.
Yeah,
I was like, bro, just stop moving.
But what's funny, and really funny looking back in hindsight, knowing the whole show, in the first episode, after that kid gets shot, and like for more than one round, everyone is just not moving, except for player one. He's just like, oh, he's like making his way through.
He's like, all right, I know what to do.
Yeah, like he knew from moment one.
But do you think that in hindsight, do you think that if he had moved, they would have shot him? No.
Who?
The thing.
I think, okay, so here, I was actually thinking about that. I don't think the staff knew that he was the host. I think if he lost, he would have died.
But he did lose.
But yeah, you're right, he did. So in that, okay, maybe they did know then. But that's kind of lame.
Yeah, that is kind of lame.
Because his whole thing in the last episode was like, playing made me feel more alive.
Yeah.
But why would you feel alive if you're not risking the same thing everyone else is risking?
But yeah, so the first episode they play red light, green light, and they.
I mean, the front man knew who he was from the beginning. So even if the staff didn't know, the front man would have stopped them before they killed him. So that's probably how he survived.
Moving on to episode 2.
Yeah.
It was there's the rule in the game where like if you want to stop playing the game, majority rules.
Yeah. If the majority votes to end the game,
then everybody goes home.
Yeah.
But nobody gets the money.
Yes, and the money gets sent to the families of the people who died.
I think, yeah. So they voted against it, or they voted to go back home.
Oh, they voted to go back home, yeah.
And then, at the end of it, they were like, all right, well, we're going to give y'all one more opportunity.
Yeah.
We'll send y'all a card in a few weeks or a few days, and if y'all decide to come back, we can continue the game.
And only the people who want to play have to come back, and the people who don't want to play can come back.
That's really cool because it's like...
cannot come back.
I mean, not cool, but it's like you're giving them the choice.
Yeah, and that's also... I mean, really, at that point, because they did that, and then, if I remember correctly, 186 out of 206 players returned. Mm-hmm. So the overwhelming majority in the end decided that it was worth playing again.
Yeah.
And they really, I mean, this is a crazy moral decision to say, but they really have themselves to fault.
Yeah.
They knew that if they went back and lost, they were going to die. It's fucked up. The whole situation's fucked up.
This whole show, at the end of the show, they knew what they were
getting into.
At the end of the show, the only thing I could think of was this show is so fucked.
Yeah. It is.
was like, this show is so fucked.
Yeah, I do also have some feelings about the ending where
Same.
It was a little like muddier, I feel like, than it needed to be, but we'll get into that in a moment. So anyway, yeah, they all get out, and then if I remember correctly, most of that episode was spent.
It was just
everyone was realizing how fucked they were in real life was, and that's why they all came back.
And then they ended up coming back. Yeah.
Everyone came back. Obviously everyone who matters for the rest of the show came back, and the people who didn't, we just never. So yeah, episode 2 ends with like basically everyone coming back.
Episode 3, the man with the umbrella.
Yeah, so episode 3 is the honeycomb episode.
Yes.
Where they have to carve the shapes out of the sugar things.
That seemed really easy. I don't know why to me struggled. It seemed a little easier than necessary. Like,
but to be fair,
wouldn't you just poke holes? Like you would just.
That's
poke
what
a
I was
bunch
thinking.
Of holes.
But I think the thing is about that, and the reason they weren't doing that is, it's probably obvious to people who have done it. But when you poke a needle into a block of solid melted sugar like that, it's probably a high risk that it's gonna crack.
Like all the way through.
Yeah, and then you fucking get shot in the head. So yeah, I can see why.
Anyways,
I also thought that was really clever. And again, this might be something that a lot of Koreans know if they've like played that game as a kid, or people in other cultures. I don't know how many people play that game, but licking it from the back, where you can just melt.
Sorry,
that's what she said. God damn it, Barstool hit us up. But yeah, licking it to dissolve the sugar seems so obvious in hindsight. True. I didn't think of it until they did it, but it's so smart.
Yeah, it is really smart because it's just melted sugar.
Yeah.
As we go by, I mean, a lot happened in these episodes. I guess we don't want to give away the whole show.
No, we can.
Just kind of
everyone who's listening right now has seen the show.
Yeah. So we're just reviewing the show.
Or they don't care. If you're listening and you care about spoilers, God help you. Please stop and go to the point where I told you.
Stick to the team. So this is where they like form teams.
Yeah.
This is where there's the fight between the people.
The fight during sleep time.
Yeah, that's such an So they had like an idea of like after all this shit happened and all these people died, they're like, okay, we're gonna feed you one single egg.
One egg, yeah.
And that's gonna cause you guys
sparkling water.
And a bottle of sparkling water, and that's gonna get you guys so pissed off that like you're all gonna fight each other.
Yeah.
And when they go lights out and all hell breaks loose,
all because of goddamn, what was his name?
I don't know his name.
It was
I don't know any names.
It was like Dong Su or something like that.
John Su or something.
Dong Su, something like that. The guy with the fucking snake tattoo on his face.
That was actually a sick tattoo.
Yeah, it was, and it made it very easy to recognize him, which might have been the intention with it. But goddamn, that guy
is such an irredeemable character. He's probably the worst,
the most easy to hate character that I have met in a long time.
Yeah. He didn't have one redeeming quality on him.
Not bro.
He wasn't even like good looking or anything.
He wasn't good looking. He wasn't funny. He wasn't clever.
Yeah.
The only thing he had going for him as a being trying to survive is he was more willing to fuck someone than anyone in the world. In a way, I mean, it's good character design when you consider all of the characters. You have to have like a shithead. That guy's a true fuckstick, yo.
That was a true fuckstick. If you call
back to last week.
Call back, dude. He is a true fuckstick where he doesn't give a fuck about anybody else but himself.
Absolutely irredeemable.
But that scene, and when they started flickering the lights, bro. When he takes the bottle and stabs the girl who snitched on him, I was like, bro.
He just stabs her, bro. He just murders her. At that exact moment, I was like, this guy is irredeemable. Yeah, he's just a cold-blooded murderer. And he has nothing. Everyone else, for the most part, at least at some point, everyone else in the show is like, I gotta kill someone. But he's just like, bet I'm gonna kill someone. Like he doesn't.
He's like excited for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a weird
fuck
character.
Ass.
He is a weird character.
That's also where we see the formation of the team. So it's Ali, Shangwoo, Gi-hun. I'm definitely fucking these names up,
I don't know
guys.
I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know any of the names.
Well, I'm glad
I know
you
all the
because
faces,
that makes me look a little more woke.
I know all the names. And then the hot girl.
And then the hot girl whose name was Sebyok. And I only know that because it's very similar to another Korean name I've heard before in Overwatch professional esports, which is really interesting because I didn't even know that guy's name was actually a name. I thought it was just a word he made up. So anyway.
But that's
that
team,
episode.
Yeah, that team aligns together and they help each other out, and with the old person as well.
Oh yeah, player one.
Yeah.
Ilhan
or some shit like that. Yeah, and they stick together during this whole outbreak fight scene where everybody's trying to kill everybody.
Yeah, it's literally mayhem.
Yeah.
Not the chef. Shout out mayhem. We do shout out a lot of people.
And Sam, if you're listening, that's a shot for you.
Yeah, Sam, you've had a couple of shots already tonight.
And then there's a fair world. Ji-hun and his team take turns keeping guard through the night. Okay, so this is more of a chill episode.
That's the second night. Yeah.
This is more of a chill episode where they get into like the characters
mm-hmm.
and their backgrounds and stuff.
This is also the episode where the old man is running a crazy fever and wets his pants.
Yeah, he wets his pants. And he has 122-degree fever.
Yeah, listen, everyone, I'm just going to be real clear with you guys. I'm not a doctor. But in this show, they show a few times that like the staff is looking at everyone through these cameras that have thermal imaging
mm-hmm.
to like spot people, and they're showing the temperature readouts on each person, and this old man is showing a 122
Fahrenheit.
I mean,
Celsius, you would actually
be
dead.
Overboiling.
Fahrenheit, yeah.
I don't think in real life a person can survive 122.
I think with my background, I think once you hit like 109, 110, you're
brain damage.
You're like about to die.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah. So I thought it was really interesting that they chose that number. But I mean, in the end, they did clarify that he was actually suffering from a brain tumor.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
going through dementia and all that stuff.
Interesting.
I
don't know if he really had dementia, though.
All the while this is happening, there's the police officer backstory.
Yeah.
Where he like sneaks in, and to me, with all those cameras around, how did he not get caught?
Yeah,
that's a big
that was a big
armor
thing the whole time
for sure.
Also, again with the plot armor, like just figuring out what to do the whole time so that he didn't look sus to
mm-hmm.
the other staff members around him.
Yeah. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And then this also is all coinciding with the doctor who is in there.
Yeah.
Who is harvesting. They're harvesting
That was
organs.
such a weird subplot.
That was a weird subplot. And I don't even know how you even get into that subplot. Like, they didn't really give the background story of that subplot.
And
like,
there wasn't even a real... I mean, unless I'm missing a nuance, I don't think there was a real reason for it.
I mean, making money.
No, but I mean a reason to have the subplot in the story.
Oh,
like as a writer.
Yeah.
There was no huge lesson we learned other than the fact that the front man was truly invested in everyone having a quote-unquote equal playing field.
To be fair to the front man, he's more... I mean...
He's fair.
Yeah, he's very fair.
As fair as he can be in the obviously demented state
of
someone who's coordinating a game like this.
But he was all about his rules,
mm-hmm.
and he was all about giving people the same opportunity and all this stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
So after that episode, we get into the episode.
Find out he's the goddamn cops, brother. We'll get into that in a minute. Why is that sound? Was that me?
No, that was me moving the mic. But after that episode, that was the episode where they went in pairs of twos.
Yeah.
They had the pairs of twos where they played with the marbles.
Oh, the marble episode.
And our main character ends up doing something really shitty and playing
taking advantage of an old man's dementia.
Taking advantage of the old man's dementia. He lied to him about what he'd say.
Yeah. Over and over again.
Over and over again.
And you know what, bro? That was a tough episode because, to be fair...
That was a tough episode because every character that we've gotten to know had to do something morally ambiguous.
And, I mean, it's terrible, but I think realistically, if you're playing against an old man who you know has a brain tumor and he has like a few fucking months left of his life, I would probably do the same thing.
Yeah.
But who really showed their colors in a way that was much more embarrassing was Shang-Woo.
Yeah.
Who betrayed Ali.
Dude,
that was terrible. Terrible. Poor Ali, who has a wife and a child.
Poor Ali.
And didn't know what even and odd meant. Jesus, that was so sad. That was a moment for me where, like, I had to... I mean, I want to say that I had to, like, consider the cultural differences. But I'm pretty sure almost everyone in Korea who's living any kind of regular life knows what even and odd means.
Yeah.
So that was far beyond
Well, he didn't grow up in Korea.
Right, he grew up in Pakistan. And then, I mean, even for someone from Pakistan, I think he was pretty not privileged. But that was rough, man.
Yeah,
and like watching him realize that betrayal, dude. I will say, all the actors in this show
are every single
incredible.
character killed what their role
killed
was.
Their roles, except for the VIPs. I fucking I detested those guys. Not because like. I appreciate. First off, I think it's kind of funny that you paint all the VIPs as like these gross American white dudes, and I think that's funny, and I really don't begrudge them.
Uh-huh.
But I think there's something. I don't know if it's bad acting, or if it's just that like dramatic Korean writing doesn't carry over very well to English dialogue.
Yeah.
But those characters sounded so corny.
They just sounded like cliches.
Yeah, they sounded like white anime characters,
yeah,
which is really what they were, I guess, honestly, when you consider how they were written. So it was fine, and it actually kind of played more into the show as far as like making you not like them. I mean, they were unlikable anyway. They're the devils.
They're the people that are watching other people fight for their life. After that episode, we go into the VIPs where we get introduced to the VIPs. They show up.
What episode number is this?
Episode 7.
Okay. Yeah.
They show up and they wear these weird masks.
All these different like diamond or crystal animal masks.
Animal masks. Nobody knows anybody's identity, and they just show up and they're like, "Ho ho! Like we've been watching from home. Like this has been a crazy season so far." Blah blah blah.
They're like, "Trust me, we have big TVs, but it's different when you're watching in person."
This was the short episode though.
It's
30-minute episode.
Wait, 7? Yeah. No, 8 was the short episode.
Yeah, you're right. 8 was the short episode. Oh, and this is the 5th game. So this is where they go onto the glass.
The glass walkway.
The glass walkway, which was such a.
What was game number 6 then?
It was the Squid Game. Game number 6 was the Squid Game.
Oh, that's right. There's only 6.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So that glass game was pretty crazy.
That was pretty crazy.
Our main character, what is his name again? I'm not gonna. Gihong. Whatever.
I mean, that's how it's written in English. I'm just saying it through the English, like reading the English writing. I don't think that
they never really said it. Yeah. I mean, they
did, but there's just. I think when you translate a Korean name or word from Korean to English written language, you read it and pronounce it the way you would pronounce an English word, and there's something left.
Yeah.
That you're not getting.
But that game was crazy because there was a tempered glass one and a real glass one.
Yeah.
And we saw a lot of just characters
a lot of tomfoolery, dude.
Yeah, just doing some crazy shit.
A lot of people died that game.
Everybody died except for 3
except
people.
For our 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So basically everybody died
so
this
rough.
episode.
Also, that episode is where Sebyok attained her fatal injury.
Oh, yeah.
God, I love that girl so much, bro. I was rooting for that character so hard, man. Not in the beginning, but like in the last half.
Like when she was
so pure of heart and intentions.
She's very closed off. She doesn't trust anybody, basically, and you get that because she's North Korean and she doesn't trust anybody.
And also,
but getting to learn her backstory about her brother and
the girl that she was playing marbles with. That poor fucking girl, man. She literally has never had a life,
and she sacrificed herself in order for her to win.
It's so sad, bro. It makes me want to cry, dude. It's so sad.
This show, the writing was so well done.
Yeah. And I don't... Usually I'll cry at the drop of a hat. I cry usually anytime someone strong picks up something heavy. So I don't know why this show didn't have many moments that made me tear up, even though I knew that they should. But that moment where that girl sacrificed herself for Sebyok, I was really in it. It's just a fucking tragedy, bro. What good writing.
Yeah. And that's a good character arc for her, too.
Yes. I mean, it's a tragic character arc, but it's good.
Anyways, so after they complete the game, they get back to the place,
the room, the sleeping room, the barracks,
and they show us that Sebyok has a giant
goddamn huge shard of glass still in her abdomen.
Yeah.
And they give all 3 of them new clothes to change into, and she goes to change and pulls the glass out of her goddamn abdomen and just washes
the best
it
she
and
can.
ties a shirt around it, which is definitely not gonna save her.
And then we move on to the new episode where they have a dinner.
Well, wait, Oh, the dinner is in the next episode.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And this is the last episode, right?
No. The front man is the second to last. This was a 30-minute episode.
Okay.
Where they have a dinner for the remaining 3. They have like a steak and all that stuff, and
yeah. And she barely eats. She takes like 2 bites.
Barely eats anything, and then at the end they like leave a steak knife.
Yeah, after the dinner, they're clearing all of the stuff. They're pre-bussing, as they should. And they clear everything except the steak knives for each person. They leave the steak knives sitting in front of them at the table, which is... Bro, it's just such a goddamn ice pick in the eye. Like, you see them do that, and they pick up the steak knife, clear everything, and set the knife back down. And then the staff leaves, and each of the 3 people is
like
with a
looking
steak
at
knife,
each other.
And they look at the knives and at each other, and you're like, bro, can we get a fucking one night where we don't have to see someone fucking kill someone?
Yeah.
But no, we can't.
No. Moving forward, they're back in the fucking factory or whatever they're in.
The barracks, really.
The barracks, and they're all just... I mean, there's just 3 of them.
There's 3 of them. Room. There's 3 beds, and there's nothing else in there.
And they're just looking at each other.
And they're each on a separate wall of the room, just like sitting there with their steak knives in their hands, waiting for the other 2 to attack, and not sleeping. And then... what's his name? Gihon goes over to Saebyulk and is like, hey, are you okay? And she's like...
You look a little off.
Yeah.
God, Gihon's such a good character.
It's crazy, bro. I hated him in the beginning.
In the first episode?
I detested him.
Really?
Yes.
The whole time, I could see, like, the underlying, like, you're a good character.
I mean, I saw that's like, what they were going for.
You do some stupid
but
shit.
He was such a fuck, man. He gambled away... He stole and gambled away his mom's money.
Yeah.
He... is a fuck dad. Yeah. He's not a good dad.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's hard to be a good dad, but he's a bad dad for lack of trying, I want to say. So it was hard for me to get on board with him. And I even said, I remember saying, in like when we were still in the first half of the series, I was like, there's not one likable character in this show, bro. Like, I don't like any of these people except Ali.
Yeah.
Because he's just like...
Ali's just such an ignorant character.
Super ignorant and also like truly a victim of... I mean, everyone in the show is victims of circumstance, but Ali truly, like... Most of these characters have a character flaw that landed them where they are. And Ali... He was in a country he didn't know. Poor boy.
He's just a poor...
Who moved from another country.
He worked hard,
and the
boss that he had was a shitty boss.
Fucked him.
Yeah.
Fucked him hard.
Yeah. Shout out Ali, man.
Yeah, it's really tragic.
But yeah, so he goes over to talk to her, and he asks her, like, if she's okay. And she has kind of a wall up, and she's like, even if I wasn't okay, what are you going to help me?
Yeah.
You should focus on yourself. Yeah. Because that's the character she is.
And then she says, let's make a deal. Because he offers like a pact, a partnership.
Yeah. We'll split the money.
And you know, that's a thing that he says, but then she, obviously knowing that she's injured, and I think she has to know that she's about to die any minute.
She's on her deathbed.
And so she says, because she's losing a ton of blood from that glass, and she says, let's make a deal with each other. If one of us doesn't make it out of here, we'll watch after the families of the other. And he was like, no, don't even say that. We're going to make it. And she was like, bruh, swear to me.
Make this deal with me.
And then at that point, he realizes
that the other guy's asleep.
Well, he was faking that he was asleep.
Was he?
I think so.
Well, anyways, he
sees the other guy falling asleep.
When she's like, you have to swear to me, he's like, wait, hold on.
He's like,
shut the fuck up, basically. He's like, shh. And he gets up and he gets the knife out and he starts walking over, and she's like, wait.
She's like, don't do it. That's not you.
That's not you.
You're a good person in your heart. And then she fucking keels over.
Yeah.
And is dying in front of him. And that's when he realizes that she has this injury where she's losing a ton of... It's like a bloodbath under the sheet that she was hiding under.
So much blood.
And he runs over to the door and starts pounding on it.
Yeah.
And they finally open it. But when they do, it's because they're bringing out a body box to take her away. And he looks over, and Shang-Woo is standing over her dead body.
With a knife in his hand.
Yeah. And... dude, that was the...
God.
That and Ali were the toughest deaths for me in this whole show. So he runs over there, realizes that her knife had been cut, or that her throat had been cut, and realizes that Shang-Woo did it.
And then that's end scene.
Yeah.
It's the end of the episode. And now we're at the episode finale.
The the series finale.
The series finale, where they end up playing the actual Squid Game, which they introduced in episode 1. I'm still unsure of how this game is played, and it seems like a weird form of baseball because you have to like move from base or whatever.
I think it's just the attacker has a handicap until they get up to like the middle point of the squid, which is called like the hips or the neck of the squid. And then once you get there and you call Inspector Royal, then you can use both feet to get to the head. I don't know why.
It still doesn't seem like a game that really... I still don't understand it.
It's a kid's game.
But they end up playing it, and Homeboy, our main character... Gihan beats up the other guy.
Beats up Shangwoo. Bro, what I will say... Like, I try not to like overanalyze these shows because the writers have a story they want to tell, and it's not necessarily about what me or you would do in these situations. But the objective of the Squid Game is to, as the attacker, which Gihan was, your goal is to put even just one foot on the head of the squid, and then you yell victory and you win. Instead...
No matter what happens, though, the other guy's dying.
Yes, true. If he won, then the staff would have shot Shangwoo. And so instead of just trying to win the Squid Game, really, he gets into a knife fight with Shangwoo because they both still have steak knives in their pockets.
And they hate each other at this point, or they're very upset.
They resent each other extremely. And they get into a knife fight. It's very, very fucking bloody and dramatic. And somehow Gihan ends up winning and leaves Shangwoo on the ground. I would say dying.
Yeah,
they've both been stabbed once or twice. And Gihan walks over to step on the head of the squid and win.
But he changes his mind.
And
his
says,
redeeming character arc comes out.
This is where I started to have a problem with the way the show ended. I understand that I mean, everyone who's watching knows what happens, I'm assuming. But he decides not to step on the head. And he says, I want this to end here. Let's both agree to end the game.
And none of us get the money.
And nobody... Well, the dead people all get the money.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, we're not getting the money. And he walks back over to Shangwoo. And he says, let's end this together. Let's leave together and both live. And Shangwoo says, nah. And he grabs the knife out of the ground and stabs himself in the neck. And says, take care of my mother. That is some... When he turned away from the money, I was like... I honestly was pulled out of the show. Really? And I was like, this is fucking stupid.
Really?
Why would you step away from what we calculated to be like $38 million US? Yeah. Just to prove a point. But I had kind of forgotten that if he gave it up right now, Shangwoo could still live. And they grew up together, so I do get that. But then Shangwoo made that choice for him and killed himself with that knife and said, take care of my mother. And so then from there...
They just flash forward.
They flash forward. He gets dropped off back at home. Meanwhile, in the subplot with the cop dies, finds out that the front man is his brother.
Which I think
You called it.
I called
way
it. I called it because I was like, as soon as I figured out, when the cop was looking at past records and saw that his brother won, I was like, okay, this guy's his brother.
Yeah.
Because he's been missing for a while and blah, blah, blah.
But my thing about that is, and this is just like a weird, very small plot hole that I guess they just didn't really, like they had to have a reason to get the cop involved. And the reason was that his brother disappeared from his apartment, stopped paying rent, whatever. But his brother won so long ago, like back in 2006 or something.
Yeah, I think, no, it was 2005.
Or it might have even been 2015. In any case, it was years before now, before the time of the show. And his brother just disappeared from his apartment, left all of his affairs out of order. Why?
And he lived in a shitty apartment.
Yeah, like an apartment literally no bigger than this space that we're sitting in right now.
It was just a bed and a desk.
It was a bed and a desk and about 3 square feet of standing space. And that was it. So I thought that was a weird plot hole, and that's what made me think, nah, it's not going to be the front man, because the front man is probably fat paid and has all his shit together. So I don't know what that was all about. But yeah, the cop dies, and Gi-hun ends up taking the money, or being given the money, and dropped back off in his hometown.
Imagine 45 million won on a prepaid card.
I know. That was so funny.
That was funny.
And it's literally in his mouth. He like coughs it up. So funny. And then doesn't touch it for a year.
Yeah, so he literally doesn't. Well, they say he doesn't touch it, but a year goes by, and apparently he hasn't spent any of the money.
Yeah.
And he gets a call from the bank. Call him up, and they're like, "Hey, like, you know, we consider you a VIP guest or owner because you have this much money, but you know, you're just letting the money sit. If you want to diversify your funds or move things around, we'd love to help you." And he kind of just walks away, and he asked the fucking bank teller
for 10,000 won.
10,000 won.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Which I
That's
didn't
his
get
character.
in the moment. Yeah, and I thought, this is a weird thing that y'all are doing to, like, reinforce that he's still the same person. Or, like, this is a thing he's always done. But then a few moments later, I realized, oh, he's not touching that money.
He's not spending any of that money.
And so he's still borrowing money from people because he's not touching those millions that he won.
How funny, dude.
So then after that, I guess the real catalyst for him was when he was sitting. So he borrowed that 10,000 won from the bank manager, bought a beer, I guess, and was sitting like on the banks of some shitty river. And that old lady sold him a flower, and the flower had a card on it.
And it was there was the Squid Game card.
It was a Squid Games card from player one, the old man. But he didn't know that at the time. It was just a Squid Games card that said a location and a time.
No, I think he knew it was the old man because it called the.
Oh yeah, it said from your Gonbu.
Gonbu or whatever. And that
which
was
is what he agreed. Yeah, they were Gonbu with each other. And so then he goes, meets the old man, realizes that the old man is the host who has been coordinating this game the entire time. And the old man's whole thing, which I did not see that coming. I thought the old man died when he got quote unquote shot.
Same.
I never thought once more about it, honestly. And then he goes to meet the old man on his deathbed. And the old man is still, even now, making a point about humanity basically being shitty and saying nobody is helping this
old man on the street.
Old drunk who's passed out on the street. If he stays out there all night, he's going to die.
Because it's snowing.
Yeah. And then he makes a bet with Gi-hun about if someone's going to help him. And then at the very end, so he says, like, it's like 15 minutes to midnight. And he says, if someone shows up to help that man before midnight, you win. And if no one helps him, then I win. But there's not really stakes made for the bet. It's just a thing while they conversate. They conversate about why he did it. And the old man says that he did it basically because when you're super rich, life is boring.
Yeah, he had some interesting things to say. And once we wrap up this and we talk about how we feel about the show, I think we can get into further detail. But yeah, he basically just says, like, you know, the super poor and the super rich are basically the same. Their life is boring.
It's not worth living, he said.
They don't get to enjoy the things that they have, or, you know, they're always searching for something else and all that. And then at the end of the show, or at the end of that, someone ends up helping the old man on the street, and then at the same time,
but the old man was dead and didn't
get to see it.
Yeah, they were trying to say that he didn't see that the drunk got helped.
Yeah. And so he dies with his belief.
With his ideas, yeah.
And belief.
Gi-hun's last words to him after he dies are, "Did you see that you lost? Because humanity is good." And then he leaves, and that was like a turning point for Gi-hun, where he starts actually doing what I think he should.
What he should have done, yeah.
He goes and takes the sister or the brother of Se-byok, the young girl who died earlier.
And the orphan. Adopts him, I'm assuming.
I think he probably adopts him, but then leaves him with the mother of Shang-woo, who lost her son. And I don't know if she ever
figures out.
Yeah, I don't know if he ever.
I mean, a year later, I'm sure she probably
assumes he's gone, but so he leaves Se-byok's brother with Shang-woo's mom and a buttload of money,
a whole suitcase,
an entire
worth of
carry-on
cash.
suitcase worth of cash, and
then we cut to the airport.
Yeah, and he's in the airport on his way to go to the U.S., presumably move to the U.S. To be with his daughter. And then he sees the same guy.
The same motherfucker who asked him to play that game.
Yeah, the same guy who recruited him for the Squid Game.
He's recruiting somebody else.
Doing someone else. And he freaks out and runs up and over and down to this other platform on the subway to I don't know what to this guy. But the guy's already on the train and waves at him and then disappears. And then he turns around and takes the card from the guy.
And it's like, don't fucking go there.
No, you're not going.
Don't fucking do this shit to yourself.
And takes the card from him. Which I have some feelings about, but we'll get into that in a minute. And then he's boarding his plane and stops on like the little bridge tunnel
to get onto the plane. Like you're already past everything. You just have to get onto the plane. And
calls the number that was on the card. And here's the same... If you want to participate in the games, tell us your full name and your date of birth. And he gives them his information. And
then the headmaster.
He says, I'm not a dog. And something like, I just want to know what makes y'all think y'all can do this, or why are y'all doing this to people? And then the front man is on the phone again and says, player 456.
Don't do this.
Stop being a dummy. Get on the plane, which he still knows exactly what he's doing in his life. That's so crazy.
Yeah, they got power over there.
They got crazy power. And he's like, get on the plane. It's for your own good. And he turns around and walks off the plane. And that's the end of the show.
Cutscene. End of the series.
Cut, roll credits, end of the show. So how did you feel about it?
Dude, I was just looking at so I have this thing where anytime I finish any sort of series that I enjoy, anytime I finish it, I feel like I'm in a depressed state.
Yes.
Where I'm like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
I don't have any answers to any of the questions I've had.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. But to be fair, that's pretty normal, and I think a lot of people go through that. But for this show, I just felt... I mean, there are good things I feel about the show and the things I like about the show. And then there's things that I'm like, I need answers to this immediately.
Yeah.
I need to know what happens. What is he going to do? I need more answers on why is he the winner of 2015, the headmaster or whatever.
Sure. I would like to know that too.
I need to know more on that. Now that the old man is dead, they're still doing the games. Who's leading it? Like, there's just so many questions left to be answered.
And who are the goddamn VIPs?
The VIPs, I mean, I'm assuming they're just super rich people.
Yeah, I think so too. Clients of the old man.
Yeah, but overall, the show is really, really good.
Yeah.
And I can definitely see why it's like we saw like a tweet or something that was like the number one Netflix show in 90 countries.
Yeah.
And it's about to be the most streamed show of all time on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense.
That's pretty crazy to think this surpasses. What do you think the previous most streamed show is? I would guess House of Cards.
Yeah, I was gonna say either House of Cards or like Crown or something like that.
I don't even know about Crown.
The Crown, it's like the story about like the.
Bridgerton though. Bridgerton was huge.
Bridgerton got I actually never watched.
Sex Ed also is really huge.
Sex Ed is huge, but I don't think it's number one. I think Bridgerton actually might be number one last time I checked, but I actually never watched Bridgerton. I heard a lot of mixed reviews, so I never got into it. Yeah, it seems like just a fan fiction of like. It seems like 50 Shades of Grey, but like in a different time period.
Yeah. That's a great way to explain it.
From what I got from it. But this show really came hard, really came fast.
Yeah.
Pun intended. I read somewhere also that the director of the show made this show back in like 2010 and tried to get so many studios to like make it.
Really? And they wouldn't?
And they wouldn't until now.
That's surprising considering...
I think it was because...
Hunger Games happened so long ago.
Yeah, I think it was because... I mean, I don't want to get into politics of it, but I think it was because it was Korean-based.
You think so?
Yeah, and I think a lot of, like, big studios didn't really think that it would do as good as it did.
I mean, to be fair, Korea is really just now getting recognized for its cinematic prowess.
Yeah.
In the world.
For sure. I mean, Korea... has produced a lot of great stuff, but it's all been local and we haven't really seen any of.
Yeah. I feel like the first thing that really got like super wide acclaim outside of Korea was Parasite.
Yeah.
And
Parasite was so good. I could talk about that.
So fucking weird.
Yeah, it was. And that's
that's their bread and butter.
Yeah, to go along with Squid Game, this show in its sense is so fucking
weird. Yeah.
It's so weird. But it seems like Korea took its own took on Hunger Games in a way, but they made it more about human behavior.
Yeah.
And they focused more on humanity rather than the game itself.
And it's also, I think this is considerably different, and I don't know if it's better, but the fact that it's all people who chose to be there, that's such a
that turns
factor.
it so much. Yeah. Especially the part where they got sent home. And they like got a
returned.
taste. Yeah, they got a little taste of what it's gonna be like, and after being home for a couple days and realizing how shitty it was, they came back.
Yeah. What an interesting plot device.
Yeah. At the end of the show, the whole thing I could think about was this show is such a play on the two big faults of humanity. It's like greed, and then finding yourself in such a shitty situation, and what to do in that situation.
Yeah.
Like digging yourself in a hole that you think is insurmountable, and what you would do in that situation.
And also, we completely glossed over the fact that Gi-hun did win, and then he gets home and his mom is dead.
Yeah, the whole reason he went.
Yeah, the whole reason. But that's something I struggled with because, and this is what really made me mad when he turned away from winning the Squid Game at the end to take the money. I'm like, bro, you're in here to make that money to save your mother's life. I'm not saying that makes it easy to accept the death of like your childhood friend. But goddamn, bro, you went through all this and you're going to turn it away and let your mom die?
I think him as a character, though, how they built him up as a character, it makes sense that he would turn away. Because
I mean, ultimately, I think that was supposed to be his redemption.
Yeah.
Is that he would not let his friend die to let him get all that money.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't stop thinking about his mom. Like, he needed that money for his mom.
Yeah. But the whole play on how humanity works, and I think Korea has a very different way of thinking about humanity than America does.
A little more pessimistic. Although America is pretty pessimistic. Just not with our movie characters.
Yeah. American arts always likes to symbolize, like, this is the dream country. You can do whatever you want, and that's true. And in reality, that's not always necessarily the case.
Of course.
But the show really did a good job about really putting us into like a POV of like, what would we do in that situation?
Oh yeah.
Because the whole time I was watching it, I was like, I would do.
You're evaluating like, what would you do?
Every single character, I was like, I could probably do that.
Yeah.
Or like, no, I wouldn't do that, but I could see where he gets it from.
Yeah.
So they really did a good job at portraying.
It's a way more realistic. None of us are really like Captain America.
Yeah.
But we can all find ourselves being like Gi-hun. They're all very relatable characters.
Even the shitty character who is unredeemable, you look at him and you're like, you're such a shitty character, but you're like,
I get it.
Yeah, but if I'm in a room with 13 people, or if I'm about to die, I'm not fucking jumping on this next platform. Like, somebody else will do it for me.
Yeah. You can totally see how they got there.
Yeah. So this show really did a good job about its character development, its character design, showing humanity in what they were trying to portray.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the old man, his last dialogue was basically what the show is about. Humanity as a whole is pretty shitty, and then there's that last glimmer of hope, which is what we always kind of dream of.
Yeah.
Like, we all kind of know, humanity kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But all of us hold on to the hope of like, yeah, but if I was in a situation where I could help, I think I would help.
I will say the way this show ended is, for me, was a little surprisingly Western, or like Avengers-esque. Like, the main character at the very end decides he's going to forego what he wants most in order to like stop the bad guy and save the world. Good. Yeah. And that is like, I mean, I guess realistically he's a multimillionaire now with a lot of firsthand accounts and not proof, but like he can get proof probably.
Yeah.
So I get it, but also, also, I don't know. I don't know. That ending, I feel like
I really hope there's a season 2. I don't know if there's gonna be.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, I mean, with the success they had, there has to be a season 2. But I don't know where they're gonna go with it. This is a classic case that a lot of shows go through, where it's like, should we make a season 2 and make it not as good as season 1? And suffer the consequences of that, because some shows run longer than they should. Obviously,
most shows in America run longer than they should.
Just because
I don't think they'll do a season 2 of Squid Game though.
Part of me hopes they don't.
Yeah, I don't. I think it would be a bad choice.
Yeah, because season 1 was so good, you would have to get you would have to get a whole new cast of characters.
Yeah,
because everybody died.
And the thing about it is, even if you did do a part 2, it's never going to be a franchise.
No.
This isn't going to be a long-running show. You're better off leaving the artistic integrity of it by leaving it one season.
Mm-hmm. And letting the viewers continue to question and come up with their own theories.
If you want to make more money off of how successful this was, then you take the same people who made it and you fund them to make their next big project. Yeah. But it doesn't have to necessarily be a continuation of the same story.
Yeah, so that was Squid Game. I feel really weird.
Yeah, I do too.
You know?
Not as weird as I did after the end of Bo Burnham's special, though, which I think we should also spend a moment discussing here shortly.
Bo Burnham's special was great.
Yeah. Before we get into that, though,
I was going to say things like the Bo Burnham special, Squid Game, you haven't watched it yet, but like Sex Education Season 3, and I can't think of it off the top of my head, but there's a few other things that have come out since the pandemic, like post-pandemic.
Yeah.
That when you watch them, you can really see that like they really take into account all the shit that happened in the pandemic. I feel like post-pandemic media has really changed.
I'm not surprised.
And like most people are taking that into account as well.
Interesting. Okay. Do we have anything else that we want to discuss when it comes to Squid Game? Let's put a nice bow on this so that we can have a solid point for everyone who's avoiding spoilers to.
Korean women are hot.
God damn it, Korean women are hot. And I don't know
who you are.
I don't know just many, kidding. But you know who you are.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Yeah, Korean women are ugly.
Yeah.
And they don't have any sway over us emotionally.
But no, I mean, ultimately, I'm going to keep saying it. I think that show is just a great take on humanity.
I think so too.
And the choices we make. And it's going to have a lasting impression on, I think it'll have a lasting impression on everybody who watches it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it does a good point. You know, like, I think a lot of shows or movies or any kind of artistic project starts out with the intention of painting humanity as either good or bad. And this show really drove home that, like, it's both.
Yeah, it can be both.
You can drive any human to do bad things when they're faced with losing their lives as an alternative, bro. Because, I mean, humanity is animalistic at the end. Like, when you push them to the very edge, it's hard for a human to be logical enough to prioritize anything over their own survival, you know? And there's only a few characters in this show that did that.
And even then, like, the characters that did eventually end up doing that, they had moments where they didn't.
Yeah.
You know? They weren't stagnant, similar characters the whole time. They went through a up and down of they made bad choices and then they came back and they made good choices, and like I just thought it was just a really good show.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Not as good as Attack on Titan.
No.
But
Attack on Titan also plays into humanity as well.
Oh, in a big way. Fucking Boss Demo, bro.
Yeah, these Asian shows really know how to.
And that's the beauty about
perspective.
Asian culture and cinema is so much more comfortable pulling out the real nasty sides of humanity that American cinema and culture we're like uncomfortable addressing.
Yeah. American cinema really always has a happy ending or whatnot, or
if it doesn't, then it's like, if you have a movie in American cinema that like is really showing the negative side of humanity, then it's through characters that are like clearly almost cliche bad guys, you know, like like murderers.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're like lifetime characters.
Yeah.
They're not good real people who have been put into such a bad situation.
Not a lot of people can relate to them for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so with that, we're gonna put a bow on Squid Game. Fucking excellent show. If you haven't seen it, go
watch it.
Go give it a watch.
Go watch it. It's so easy to binge. All right, yeah. Let's talk about your feelings of Bo Burnham's special.
Yeah,
we're just gonna have a Netflix themed episode.
Yeah,
where
that's fine.
Talk about it.
That's fine. So yeah, I took it upon myself this week to watch for the first time Bo Burnham's Inside special on Netflix. Mm-hmm. And boy, did I get more than I bargained for.
Boy, was that quite the show.
Quite
the special.
So you haven't watched the entire thing yet?
No, but I've watched the first, I want to say, 45 minutes to an hour of it.
Okay, so you know what's going on.
I know the whole theme.
Yeah.
I feel like I know the theme of what he's going for.
I jumped into it. I've heard people sing its praises before I saw it. Nobody really mentioned what it was.
I've seen a lot of like really good reviews about it.
Yeah.
But I've never been inclined to watch it because way back in the day during quarantine when it first came out, I watched like the first 15 minutes of it and I was like, okay, this is not your stereotypical comedy special.
Definitely not.
And I just wasn't engaged into it at the moment. Sure. I just never got back into it.
I would say that special is really something you have to be like, let's sit down and do this. It's not something you can just like put on in the background at a party.
No, definitely not.
Or I mean, you can, but it's going to be crazy.
It's a weird party if you're going there.
So if y'all haven't watched Bo Burnham's special, I would say go watch it. I'm not really going to do technically spoiler warnings for it. But I mean, we've already really said most.
But it's a comedy special.
Yeah,
so
it's a comedy special.
You're not missing out on. Yeah, we're not giving away major details.
Yeah, it's not like a plot-driven thing where you're gonna be like, "Fuck, why did y'all tell me that?" It's pretty evident from the very very beginning, honestly, that it's way more than your typical stand-up special. Mm-hmm. It's more like a serious dive into the psyche of a man who has isolated himself in one room for over a year.
Yeah.
While making a stand-up special when he hasn't been doing stand-up in years.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have the mental health for it.
Yeah. And
then on top of that, the toll that was taken on his mental health during quarantine, with COVID happening, he takes a lot of time to reflect on social media and the serious consequences of the way that our society is currently set up with the internet and how all of that is going. And to be totally honest, I watched it and it was great. And I recognized a lot of TikTok sounds. You know, a lot of those songs have found their way onto the internet. But I came out of it on the other side fucking sad.
Yeah.
And depressed.
Yeah.
And then I went to the gym, and the whole time I was at the gym, I was like, why am I even working out? I'm going to die eventually. Like, I felt very existentially bummed after watching that special, man.
Bo Burnham has a good talent at doing that, honestly. So this is
actually his first special that I've watched.
So if you haven't watched his other specials, I would definitely recommend his other specials. But Bo Burnham had a special come out called like "Are You Happy?" or something like that. Mm-hmm. I think that was back in 2018 or 2017. It's called Make Happy. It came out 2016.
Okay.
So this was 4 or 5 years ago. But after he came out with this special, at the end of it, he had this riveting song called "Are You Happy?" And it was very...
At the end of Make Happy.
Yeah, at the end of it. His last song, or his skit, basically, you were left with like, oh my God, like, this guy is so ahead of how everybody's thinking. And then after he came out with this, he was like, I'm going to take a little break from stand-up and really work on myself and, like, get in touch with myself. So this was 2016.
Yeah.
And then fast forward all the way to 2020, pandemic happens. Mm-hmm. I guess he comes up with this idea to make a comedy special by himself.
Yeah.
He does the production, the writing, the recording,
everything,
editing, every single thing that's done in the new special that came out Inside was all him.
Yeah, it's Bo Burnham alone in a room for more than a year.
Yeah, since the beginning of quarantine, all the way.
Just him and a bunch of cameras and lighting equipment and microphones
and
a keyboard.
And soundboards and everything.
God damn, bro. You know, I mean, that's impressive no matter what, but just like the hurdles that I've had to jump through producing this podcast brings me to a whole new level of respect for him being able to do that.
Right now, we currently have a blanket covering some of our kitchen lights in order to get better lighting.
If y'all want to take yourself over to @6inchkings on Instagram and take a peek at the production quality we're dealing with.
That's the kind of stuff that we're dealing with. So to imagine...
And that took us like 15 minutes to figure out.
We're like, how do we cover some of this light? But we want... It was the whole thing.
Yeah. And throughout the special that Bo made, there's a few times where he
gives us like a look into
the general tempo of it is performance, background, and he'll like do a song, and then there's a short segment where it's like him in the background like of production, showing like the in between moments, and he'll sit down with a mic and be like, so I've been working on this special for 6 months now, and it's 30 minutes in. Yeah. And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, bro. Like 6 months to make 30 minutes of a special.
The craziest contrast to me was he showed like a little clip of him when he first started working on it.
And he looked
he had medium length hair. He had no beard.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, he had super long hair. He had a full beard. He looks like a homeless man, basically. Yeah. And it's like, this is the time that has progressed. And I have been alone the whole time. I've been at home working on this.
Alone in a room, bro.
Yeah.
How dark can it get? There's also a moment. I mean, I guess if you haven't watched the Bo Burnham special and you don't want to get it spoiled for you,
it's been a year and a half since it came out.
I mean, still though, if you don't want like the heaviest moments of this special spoiled for you, then stop listening until you've seen it. Starting now, there's a moment where, or maybe more than one moment where he's like just sitting there and he's like, so I've been working on this for X amount of time. And then he just like loses it and breaks down crying and like completely sobbing and just has nothing left. Dude, it's so heavy. And also there's a couple of moments where he says something like that. And then while he's just like losing it, obviously in post, he was making creative decisions on how to put that all together, and he has a couple of moments where it's just a hard zoom into the lens of the camera, and that just seemed so heavy with message and intention. And I can only imagine what a person like Bo Burnham, who has been making content for the internet since he was
16 years old,
like the dread. The message that I got from a shot like that is the dread that he feels sometimes looking into the lens, the bottomless darkness of a camera lens, as he's like trying to put some shit together for people because that's what they want from him. It's heavy, man. It's heavy and dark. God damn. Yeah. And then you like Google his special, or you just like Google his name. Because I Googled his name to figure out where his special was because I didn't know it was on Netflix. And there's like articles all over that are like, it's been 6 months since Bo Burnham posted his special and I'm still obsessed. And I read those headlines and I'm like, this is exactly what he was talking about, bro. Like, this is the shit that he's talking about.
It's crazy because he'll flat out say something about like the media and things that they want, and then they'll happen and you're like, oh, this is what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Like, we're seeing it coming to fruition. Yeah, Bo Burnham has been really good at, like, calling out all the shit that happens. Yeah. He's, what's the word? Like, not hindsight, but, like, he has foresight into seeing what's going to happen.
I will also say, this special, I've known for a long time that Bo Burnham is a really funny guy. But his ability to ride the line between saying something for real because it's your opinion, and at the exact same time making it satire of your opinion because you know that your opinion is kind of fucking crazy. Yeah. Like the song I don't know if they're two different songs or if it's the same song, but the song about like him doing comedy in the midst of a pandemic, and it's like he says a lot of times in that song, like, are you really telling jokes at a time like this? And then he like talks about all the other things he might do to like try to help in the situation. And then, bro, there's a couple of times he says this line where he's like, should I give away all my money? Ugh.
Of course not.
Yeah, and it's like, that is so funny because it's what everyone does. It's like, am I going to should I donate?
Should I just donate my money?
But it's like, it's funny, but that's also his real reaction to thinking about giving away all of his money because he has so much money.
Yeah.
I think.
I'm sure he does.
It's just like that, being able to ride that line of like showing your real true self,
it's
and
almost
simultaneously making fun of it.
It's almost super genuine.
It's incredibly genuine.
It's almost super genuine.
Yeah, I think so.
Because
there's also a shot where he's completely butt naked in that special, and I really appreciate that.
It's like you're showing all your cards, and you're acknowledging that you have this quote unquote privilege.
Yeah,
but there's not much you can really do.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, especially because even if Bo Burnham gave away all of his money, it's not doing much. Yeah. It's a drop in the bucket, man. And also the problems that he's addressing in that special, there's nowhere you can give money that it's going to fix those problems. Yeah. Like, what organization do you donate to that is going to make people stop being obsessed with the internet?
What organization do you donate to that doesn't take a little cut of the profits as well?
Yeah,
that's the big thing too as well.
Yeah, totally.
And he's woke, quote unquote, woke enough to like spot that and know the difference. And it's weird because like he feels like all that he can provide is comedic relief.
Yeah.
And to be fair, that does help people.
Oh, it helps a lot. And that was another big interesting point is in that same song, he like says it as a joke, like, all I can do right now is make jokes. And like he says, I'm healing the world with jokes.
Yeah.
Which is funny because he knows that obviously that's not solving all the world's problems. But at the same time,
it's a little true.
Levity, comedy in the face of adversity is one of the most powerful tools for helping people get through shit, man. And like that special, I can't even imagine how many people it probably depressed a lot of people. But, you know, comedy in general helps people through so much.
Yeah, you saying that you're depressed after it is not the vibe that he was going for.
Well, maybe not, but I think that was the vibe that a lot of people got. I actually watched that special because this is a really weird and kind of gross, like, full circle moment. But I was scrolling through the account of this girl on TikTok who was super hot, and I was super obsessed with her. And one of her TikToks was like, I'm so depressed after watching Bo Burnham's special, but I'm going to go play Minecraft and pretend that nothing is wrong. And I was like, you know what? I should sit down and watch that special.
And then I'll play some Minecraft.
Yeah, yeah. And so I watched it, and then I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. And I went to the gym and had an existential break.
Dude,
and then came home and got back on TikTok, and her account was still open. And I was like, what the fucking world am I living in, bro?
Dude, that's funny. From that special, a lot of TikTok sounds came from that special.
Oh, so many.
So many.
I mean, you have the Jeff Bezos song.
Jeff Bezos.
You have the song that I think is called All Eyes on Me, where he's like, you say the oceans are rising like I give a shit. You say the world is ending. Honey, it already did. Bro.
That's been on...
If that song is not the vibe of our current times we're living in, especially for like Gen Z, where it's like this shit is beyond fucked. It actually, this ties in a really big way to the Tytler cycle in history that we talked about last week. We're at apathy, bro.
Yeah, we are.
Everything is so fucked
that we're like,
fuck this. I can't do anything about it.
What are we supposed to do?
Yeah.
You know, we were born into this.
Especially as individuals, man. Yeah. Like, we all look at the world. Bo Burnham looks at the world and he's like, what the fuck can I do? Make jokes.
Except
that's
for make
it.
jokes.
That's it.
Yeah. And that's what he's good at.
That is what he's good at. And to be fair, the jokes that he made, I mean, I hope he feels this way or at least gets told it enough that maybe he realizes it. But the jokes that he makes in that special do more for bringing people to awareness about the current state of the world, makes a bigger difference than most people will ever make, I think. You know, that special was profound.
Yeah, it really was.
And it's really dramatic to say something like they'll talk about it in history classes someday, but I hope they will, because it was that special was fucking good.
For all you AP kids, for AP World History, you're gonna have a DBQ about Bo Burnham special. One of these days.
Yeah. Dairy Business Queen. That's what that stands for, right?
Discussion based question.
Oh shit. Okay, yeah, y'all are gonna have a DBQ about that.
Shout out to AP, dude.
We should post DBQs about these podcasts every week.
Discussion based. You got 30 minutes to write it, and it has to be 3 pages long.
Yeah, I want to see at least 500 words.
Education system's so fucked, bro.
How
are you gonna give me a topic that I don't even know what I'm about to talk about, and give me 30 minutes to write a whole essay about it?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Let's go.
Thank God I went to a bare minimum school. That being said, Ricky, you have 30 minutes from the time that you finish this podcast to send us a 500-word text message about what the best opinion was that we had.
I think my favorite thing of having this podcast is getting text messages while people are listening to it.
Yeah.
And be like, are you fucking serious? Dude, like, all right, bro, I'm sorry, but also fuck you, dude.
Our dearly beloved, good friend, and human resources representative. Actually, I'll probably bleep that out because she
told us not to name names.
Our HR rep at work said stop mentioning people by name because she doesn't want to have an awkward talk with us at work. And I really wanted to just be like, what are you going to fucking fire me for saying people's names?
What are you going to fucking fire me?
Which, Julie, to be fair, they could, because Texas is an at-will state and they can fire us with no cause.
Yeah, true.
Please
don't fire. I mean,
yeah, please
HR
don't fire
rep,
us.
please don't
HR
fire
rep.
us.
We love you. I'll buy you 5 bottles of Parasol.
We'll buy you so much Parasol.
Nah, but I mean, we love you. You know who you are. Since I'm having to bleep out your name. That was interesting to think about because I do take more than I need to. I take a lot of precaution in making sure that we don't leave anything on this podcast that is going to really offend someone.
Oh, much better than I am. You are much better than I am.
Well, I don't ever want this to be like a place where drama is breeding.
I'm more like, I'm going to say what I got to say.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm with that too, as long as it feels like it's constructive or like working towards something.
Yeah. I'm not just going to, we're not just going to talk shit to talk shit. Yeah.
And neither of us are those people.
Yeah.
And that's why I really don't have to cut much unless Pat is on. Although I really didn't have to cut much from Pat either. Almost nothing, actually. Just like maybe 30 seconds.
Yeah, it was more just you cutting yourself, but we're not going to get
That's
into that.
Actually, you got...
Yeah, you didn't even cut Pat. You cut yourself.
I cut one thing Pat said. I cut a couple of things that I said because I was starting shit. I had a couple of fresh wounds last week that I was still working out how I felt about.
And we had a few drinks as well. So
yeah, we did. And we've had even more drinks this time.
True.
Now is a good time to mention to you that I had a
about
really...
Korean women. What?
No, yeah, Korean women, dude. I had a really interesting dream last night / this morning about a...
Dude, let's talk about our dreams.
Let's talk about them.
Let's talk about them.
Got anything?
I'm the type of person who, my whole life, I've always had dreams, but I've always woken up and kind of forgotten about them. But I know that I had a dream.
Yeah.
But for the past 3 or 4 weeks, I've had the most vivid and obscure and just weird dreams.
Do you have any in particular that you want to discuss?
There was this one.
Okay, you tell me about this dream. I'm gonna grab that bottle of vodka from over there.
Okay, you grab that bottle of vodka. So there was this one dream that I had that I can only remember because it was so obscure and so weird. Because if anybody knows me, they know that my quote unquote type of woman is not a white girl. I'm more into something a little bit more foreign, somebody that has a little ethnic.
If it ain't foreign, it's boring.
Yeah, I usually go for something a little more ethnic. And I think that's also because I'm an immigrant, so it's hard for me to relate to, quote unquote, your standard typical white girl.
Absolutely.
But I had such an obscure dream where I was married to a white girl.
Ooh.
And we had such a classic, like, your Friends or your Seinfeld or your Leave It to Beaver type relationship where
3 very different shows, but they're all super white.
They're all about like white people and how they live.
Yeah.
And we were living that life, and we had our standard nuclear family of like 2 kids. And it just felt like I was just living in this dream, and I was like unhappy, but I had this picture perfect life. And in the dream, I got into an argument with my wife that was white, blonde hair, blue eyed, standard typical American girl.
Yeah.
Standard typical hot girl. And we were in this weird argument about something that was so dumb that made no sense to me. Mm-hmm. In that dream, I ended up, after the argument, I ended up going to see a certain person who was Asian American. Okay. And that's all I'm going to say about it.
Interesting. And
then we were doing what we do, and then I woke up.
Oh, yeah, we're doing what you do.
Yeah, I woke up, and I was like, this was such a weird dream, because the first half of the dream was me living a life where I was a husband to this white girl, and I had these 3 beautiful, perfect kids, and like I was in finance, and she like did interior design, blah blah blah, whatever you want to call it.
The 2 most stereotypical jobs for both of you.
And we had this nice house, and we had a couple dogs, and that was like the first half of the dream. And then the second half of the dream, an argument came up, and then I stormed off, and then I saw that Asian American, and then I woke up.
That's actually really interesting.
And I was like, what was this dream? And that's one dream, but I've had a lot. Like, dog, last Sunday, I had an obscure dream, and I woke up at 6:30 in the morning, and I didn't go back to sleep because it was such an obscure, weird dream that I was like,
I remember you mentioning this, yeah.
Yeah, I woke up at 6:30 in the morning. Sean, you know me. I wake up at like 9 or 10, and then I go back to sleep.
Yep.
I never wake up early.
But dude, a funky enough dream will do it to you.
Yeah. I don't want to say I was scared to go back to sleep, but I was lying in bed after the dream, and I was like...
Didn't want to return to that dream.
I was like, I'm not going to take any precautions. I'm just going to stay up.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Obscure, weird dreams have been the normal for me in the last 3 or 4 weeks.
You know what? I'll say the same. Not for the past 3 or 4 weeks, but for the past 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
I've been going through a lot of really weird emotional situations, and they have affected my dreams a couple of times.
Mm-hmm. I think that'll do it to you.
Absolutely.
I think that's the main...
Honestly, a lot of times, dealing with the feelings that follow a weird dream about an emotional situation is harder than dealing with the situation itself.
Yeah.
I think. I had a dream last night that I took some girl that I have known in my life. I don't remember who it was specifically. Mm-hmm. Some girl on a date to our job. Yeah. Okay. So in my dream, I had to work at 9:30 p.m. was my in time, which anybody who works with us knows we close at 9. So 9:30 is not a real in time. So in the dream, I was like, okay, I have plenty of time, and I want to go on a date with this girl, so I'm going to take her to my workplace, and we're going to have dinner or whatever. And then after that, I'll like take her home, drop her off, and then go to work. Mm-hmm. Plenty of time. And so I don't know why it was this girl. This girl, I think I know who it was, but it's a girl who I haven't known since high school, super far back, and even then we were never ever romantically involved at all. Mm-hmm. I think it was just honestly like a staffing pick in my subconscious. Like that was just a girl that got put in my dream because it wasn't really about her. And then, so me and this girl go to work, and we're like having to fight to get a table because Joy doesn't want to give us a table. Joy's our manager, by the way, our GM. And Joy's like upset with me, and she's like, this is why I tell y'all not to come in for dinner, which she has never told us in real life. Joy does not mind us coming for dinner, obviously. But in my dream, she was like upset with me for coming for dinner. And I was like, just give us a table, bro. Like I don't even need a server. I'll do it myself. And then in the dream, a certain person is there who is returning this week. And he sees me and is like, hey man, da 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 da. Yeah. And I literally was like, stop.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me. Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh, okay.
Okay.
And was like upset that was how I responded. Mm-hmm. And weirdly enough, in the dream, that was about as far as it went. And I like went back to my table, and I was like, there were other parts of the dream that I think were probably also important if we were to be psychoanalyzing this dream. Like the girl who I was going to dinner with disappeared and I couldn't find her for a long time. And so I ended up just like talking to everyone who was working.
Yeah.
And I was like, can you believe that motherfucker tried to talk to me like we were cool, bro? And then, and then the girl finally shows back up and she's like, yeah, I ordered dessert. And I was like eating dessert, not a real dessert that we even serve, but just eating sweets. And then I was like all the servers were hanging out around our table. And I was like, yo, what time is it? And someone was like, yeah, it's like 9:15. Or like, and I was like, fuck, I'm late, bro.
Yeah. Oh shit,
I was supposed to be here by like 9 or some shit like that. And then even in the dream, you or someone else that I'm close with was like, you were supposed to come in at 9 or like 9:30. And I was like, yeah, Joey's fucking being weird.
Yeah. She's like, he's just here to clean.
Yeah. And that's most of what I remember from the dream.
Yeah.
But then I woke up and I was just like, now I'm not even having dreams about the good like it was just
it's really upsetting to me that dreams, like, you forget them so fast. Because in my memory, as soon as I wake up from a dream, I like remember every single thing.
They say you can improve that quite a bit if you make a habit out of like writing your dreams down the moment you wake up.
If you look into, what is it, like astral projection or whatever, or like controlling your dream state?
Lucid dreaming.
Lucid dreaming. If you like...
Have you ever had a lucid dream?
I don't think I have.
I've had one.
I don't think I have.
Well, I've had two in my whole life. The first one was when I was like a kid. And it was only a lucid dream insofar as in this dream, I was on a roller coaster. And I fucking am super scared of roller coasters. And in the dream, I was so scared that I realized I was dreaming. And I in the dream said to myself, I have to wake myself up because I don't want to be on this roller coaster. And I woke myself up. The second one was like in the last year or so, I realized that I was dreaming, and boy, it was one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life doing anything, bro. I don't remember a lot of it now, but I remember there was a part where I flew. Like I just was able to fly. Because what I'm talking about is lucid dreaming, just for anyone who doesn't know, is you are in your dream asleep and you realize that you are sleeping and dreaming. And in a fully realized lucid dream, you have complete control over what happens in the dream. And so I was able to make myself fly. I was able to have sex with someone who I wanted to.
Really?
In the dream.
You went through this whole thing.
I had like 3 big things. Flying was one of them. Having sex was one of them. And then the other big one wasn't something that I've thought about a lot before, or ever, actually. But those 2 big things happened. And then the third one was I was just like walking down a street. And I think actually at this point, this was like the last thing before I woke up. And I think I was like forgetting that I was having a lucid dream as like the night went on and I was continuing to sleep. And I kind of had less control over the dream, but I still knew I was dreaming. And I was walking down this street and I had like friends with me as I was walking. And I just remember walking down the street with my friends, but it felt so, I don't know if you've ever done acid, but I felt like I was on acid. Like I was tripping hard as fuck. Everything was super colorful and gorgeous. And I just felt so good. I felt so like
at ease.
Beyond at ease. I felt physically good. Yeah. Like I felt incredible. And I was just, as I was walking down the street with all my friends around me, I was like, man, I literally thought to myself, I can't wait to wake up and tell everyone how good this fucking dream was. And then I woke up.
That's interesting. No, I don't think I've ever had an experience with lucid dreaming. I've read, when I was in high school, me and one of my friends got really into the idea of lucid dreaming. Yeah. And there were like things that, online said like, have a dream journal, write down things as soon as you, and then as that happens, you're able to control it more. But I've never taken the steps to do that. The only sort of things that I remember, especially as a child, of dreaming, it's like I had this weird phase as a child where I would have dreams where I was another person. Yeah. And I had like the subconscious of another person, and I was like living in another person's life, whether it be, a lot of the times that dream consisted of being my brother,
Interesting.
Which we can psychoanalyze another day. But a majority of the time, the other times, it was just like my close friends or even girls I had crushes on, where like I literally felt like in my dream I was them as a subconscious, and I was like thinking in their thing. And then I would wake up and I would like really question, like, I would be like, am I even my own person? Like, am I just the subconscious of other people's beliefs? And it was this whole thing. And at the time I didn't really have words to put into it. And right now I don't even think I have words to put into it, but it was like this feeling of like being another subconscious and looking at myself in that viewpoint.
Interesting.
It was really weird.
That actually sounds like a really powerful experience though.
Like, I can remember a time for like almost a year where that dream would happen at least once or twice a week.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't know what caused it to
have you
not
ever like
happen anymore.
Googled it or looked into what it might mean to have a dream like that?
No,
I mean, who knows if anybody can really tell you.
Yeah.
But
no.
That sounds like, I mean, like a semi out of body experience where you're able to put yourself in the perspective of an outside viewer and look at yourself with maybe a more honest perspective, or even just the perspective of another, and consider how you look from there.
It was such a weird, I felt like I was having like an existential crisis at the time. It was so weird. But that was like the norm for me when I was like 8 or 9, like having dreams and being in other people's bodies and perceiving things.
Wow.
And how they were.
That's heavy.
That's really the only weird dreams.
When you were that young? I feel like that implies that you were like really aware as a young child of like other people and their consciousness.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then I was 8 or 9. I was just thinking about like.
Well, when I was a kid, I was really quiet.
Yeah.
I guess you
cannot relate.
Yeah, I guess you can't think of that me now, but as like until really my like 6th or 7th grade of school, I was just a really quiet kid who like stood in the back and just observed and like
interesting
looked. But a lot of the time I was like the new kid, so I didn't really have.
Oh yeah, because y'all moved a lot when you were younger.
Yeah, I didn't really have like a lot of like close knit friends, and like I wouldn't hang out with a lot of people outside of school.
Yeah,
so I would just kind of sit there, do my work, and like observe.
That's
so
really interesting.
Maybe that could have been the cause of it.
I really wish I could like know the complete story on how you went from that to being the person you are now, because I think me and you are almost exactly the same when it comes to like these days being loud and the center of attention.
Yeah. We have a center of attention complex for sure.
Always been that person. You can ask every single one of my teachers all the way back to kindergarten. I have always been loud and like needing a lot of attention. Yeah. Even though I didn't know it back then. Yeah. You know, and I was just loud and annoying. Luckily now I have a little better dial on it, and I can
you have a better filter on it.
Yeah, I can pull it back when I
gauge situations as
when I know it's not appropriate. But goddamn, well, I've always been that kid. That's so funny. Anyway,
yeah. How did I get to this point?
Talking about dreams.
But yeah.
How did you get to this point as a person?
Who knows?
So interesting to think about.
Who knows? Same to you though. I mean, I think for people like you who have grown up in the same area, it's easier to pinpoint.
Yeah, when you're moving around all the time, everything is like obscured. Yeah. It's probably so hard to pinpoint.
You're just being exposed to so many different cultures and so many different norms.
Yeah.
Is what I've boiled down to it. Like, the culture and norm in Kansas the city in Kansas I lived in is completely different. I mean, especially than the culture that I was in Fort Worth.
So many of the places you were moving around to, you were the only not white kid.
Yeah.
Of course you were going to be the quiet one. I mean, it seems obvious.
True. And then, I mean, I don't want to shit on my parents, but having the name that I have, everybody was like, what's your name?
Yeah. Of course.
Who are you? What?
I'm honestly kind of surprised you didn't just adopt the name Adam. The way you do at work sometimes.
Yeah, I've adopted the name Adam. But harking back on dreams, you've had some obscure dreams in the last week. I've had some obscure dreams
for the last 10 years.
In the
last 15 years.
Well, like I said, besides that period of time as a child, I had dreams that I knew I had dreams, and then like they would just go away and I wouldn't think about them. Yeah. But these last few weeks, I've had just crazy, vivid, obscure dreams about the weirdest people. I mean, person I said has been a focal point in a lot, but there's also I mean,
do you think that person is listening?
I hope not, because I said a lot of things about Korean people. So that's,
you only said one thing about Korean people.
Yeah. But Ariel, I actually had a vivid dream about Ariel. I had a vivid dream about that person that you had a dream about.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had a vivid dream about him.
Sorry for sniffling into the mic, y'all. We're both dealing with allergies now.
Dude, our allergies have been going crazy. Yeah. If I sound weird, it's because I just have so much phlegm built up.
Yams is legit blocked up from the nostrils down, bro.
Just terrible.
He can't breathe. Poor man.
It's crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I wish I knew more about dreams, and I wish I'm Googling things right now. Like explaining like what dreams are from.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things that say are just like, they're just subconscious thoughts that come into your head while you're sleeping, which makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, this one says dreams are representing unconscious desires and wishes, interpreting random signals from the brain, working as a form of psychotherapy. So maybe all of this is like a good thing.
I mean, it's probably all a good thing. I think generally speaking, I mean, I'm sure you can have dreams that are like harming or damaging as far as like, you know, they could kind of accentuate trauma that you're dealing with. Mm-hmm. But I think the type of dreams we're talking about, for the most part, are just like highlighting things that you're dealing with anyway in your subconscious. And it just gives you a little more time consciously as you like reflect on those dreams to deal with and process whatever it is you're going through. I mean, that's definitely been in my life. Dreams have been like an easy like highlight reel of the hottest trauma that I'm dealing with that I need to like spend more time on, you know. Yeah. Or also just like if I'm particularly horny or have any other, you know, what's actually
funny, I've actually never had a wet dream.
Never
once have I woken up to like,
oh buddy, I'm sorry,
wet underwear.
I'm gonna tell you this right now,
one single time.
I've already outed myself with all the fleshlight talk we were having earlier, so I don't feel much shame saying this. I've had a wet dream a handful of times in my life, maybe 3 or 4. They've been the best orgasms, except for one that I had here maybe a month or 2 ago. Other than that, wet dreams, actually it's neck and neck. I don't know which one was. I don't know what the best is that I've ever had, but the wet dreams are in the running.
It's really weird because when I was like, I want to say like 50, it was like freshman or sophomore year of high school. Primitive years where like I didn't really know what was going on with my body. Or
never one time?
Yeah. I had a friend.
Have you come close?
I don't think so. I've never woken up to like wet.
But have you had like sex dreams?
I've had sex dreams.
And do you ever have sex dreams where you like wake up right before you're about to finish? Or like right when you're having sex with someone?
Yeah. I've never had sex dreams where I'm actually having sex with someone. I've had sex dreams where it's like the build up to sex. Or like the date before sex, or like an event happens before the sex where like we like lock eyes and we like know what's about to happen.
But in the moment like right before you wake up, do you feel super aroused or like you might?
I wake up most times super aroused.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course. But I mean, usually for me, even if I don't like have a wet dream where I conclude, I know I would have if I'd stayed asleep a little longer because the dream is like heading in a very sexual direction. Okay, I actually just had one of those the other night.
No, I don't think I've ever had that.
That's so interesting to me.
No, but to go back, I had a friend in high school who would talk about having wet dreams literally at least once a week. Wow. And I was like,
what a gift.
I was like, is there something wrong with me? Why am I not having, like, I used to want wet dreams at like 15, 16 because it seemed like everybody was having wet dreams.
Dude, I still want them now.
And then in the movies that I would watch, you know, it
would be a thing.
The kid would have like a wet dream and wake up with like all this shit on his pants. And I'd wake up and I'd be like, I'm like hard as a rock, but but everything is, I've never had a wet dream.
Sure. Dude, when I was a younger man, probably the better part of 5 or 6 years ago now, I combed the catalogs, not the catalogs, I combed the internet. And I found myself on 4chan.
Hell yeah.
You know what that is?
Oh, yeah. 4chan is where weird motherfuckers.
Oh, it's where the weirdest. Man. 4chan is as weird as you get before you get into the real dark web.
Yeah, 4chan is the step before the dark web.
And I've spent my fair share of time on 4chan, and I found myself there staring down an ingredients list for a cocktail that you could take that would all but guarantee a wet dream.
Let me see the list.
I don't have it anymore, but I saved it for years.
Really?
For
Did it
years,
work?
I never tried it.
Oh, you never tried it.
I saved it, and then one day I pulled it up in my notes and I looked at it and I was like, I don't know what a lot of this stuff is. For all I know, this person posted this and said it would give you wet dreams, but it will kill you.
It will.
Like, I don't know what this will do. And I deleted it. I was like, this is so fun. I was such a horny boy when I saved that. And I still am, but it's just not worth the risk, you know?
I think we've all had moments where we're like, oh my God.
Extreme desperation horny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we can relate I think all men can relate to the feeling of just being overwhelmingly horny.
You'll do anything.
You just do the craziest thing.
You'll do anything.
Especially in your young formative years.
Yeah.
Where you have no idea what's happening and no girl wants to have sex because there's a stigma behind it.
Yeah.
And to be fair, if you're like 15, 16, I want to say you shouldn't be having sex, but also,
I mean, at least if you are, make sure you're having sex with someone your own age.
Your own age, or it's a safe. But yeah, it's really weird nowadays where as older people, you're 28, I'm 24, we work with individuals who are like 15, 16, 17 in the restaurant industry. Mm-hmm. And you look at them and you're like, you guys are children.
Wait, did you say 15?
I think when Juana first started, she was 15.
Oh,
that was a while ago.
Yeah, maybe.
But you look at them and you're like, oh, you guys are like kids. Like, you're so innocent.
I mean, truly, they're children.
Yeah. And then sometimes they'll say something not out of, they'll just say something.
They'll say something a little out of pocket for who they are.
And you're like, wait a minute. Shouldn't you just not be worrying about this?
Dude.
But then I look back at when I was 15, 16. I mean, I lost my virginity at, like, I think it was my 16th birthday when I lost my virginity.
Must be nice, motherfucker.
And it's like,
I lost my virginity after I graduated high school.
See, that's
insane, right?
Yeah, you're weird.
So everyone I went to school with was always talking about how they lost their virginity. Bro, I had people in middle school telling me about how they lost their virginity. And I either didn't believe them or I was like, y'all are bad people.
I had an opportunity to lose my virginity in 6th grade, but I got scared and I didn't show like. Yeah. Like it was one of those conversations where a girl was like, stay after school and meet me in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
Meet me in the bathroom.
Yeah.
My God.
I was like, yeah, I'll be there. And then as soon as school
ran.
ended, I got on the bus and I went home.
Yeah.
And I didn't say anything.
Damn. And she was in the bathroom just like, where's this motherfucker at, bro?
She texted me and called me a pussy. It was crazy.
I think I had the opportunity to lose my virginity in my sophomore year of high school because I was dating the girl who I ended up losing my virginity to at that time. Mm-hmm. But I was such a goddamn white knight pussy in high school, bro.
Yeah.
That I legit dated this girl for 2 years and didn't even try until after I was graduated from high school.
Sexual frustration she must feel.
The sexual frustration I felt, bro. Yeah. I mean, we went through a lot of shit in that intervening time. Yeah, but I don't know. I also have to say, just for the record, that now as a 28-year-old man, sometimes I wonder and feel a little weird about reflecting on my sexual activity with a person who I had, like I was with when I was a teenager, but now I'm 28. But I'm remembering a person who was 17 at the time. And I'm like, is this fucking weird?
No,
but I think it's not.
Weird.
And I also think a lot of men deal with a lot of guilt and questioning their own morals around sexuality with stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm probably safe in saying we shouldn't feel that way and shouldn't have to feel that way.
I think intention plays a really big part.
Almost everything.
Yeah, a really big part in it. Because without intention, you can always say somebody's attractive.
Yeah.
You can look at someone objectively and be like, you're an attractive person.
Yes.
But if your intentions are not to like sleep with them,
sure.
It's I think you're in the clear.
I even wondered that in regards to Squid Game. I was wondering that about the girl who plays Sae Byeok. I was like, man, this girl, I want to say she's really pretty, but I don't know how old she is.
I'm sure she's an adult.
And these days I'm
these
scared
days are tough.
to say anyone is pretty or attractive because what if I say it and then they're fucking 16 and I have to be like, oh God.
Yeah, to be fair, these days are tough because like we had the discussion with Pat last episode, like the age just keeps getting lower and lower. Like the beauty standards are different. Like makeup is more available. social media is available. So, when we were kids, no girl had like inspiration of like how to look like a certain person, or they weren't steadily available. You just kind of went off of who was in the town and all that stuff. But nowadays, a 13-year-old can look at like Kim Kardashian or something and be like, this is my inspiration of beauty and this is what I strive to be. And she'll dress the way that Kim Kardashian looks, and she'll be 15 one day and she'll have this quote unquote certain body, or she'll have this look and you're like, oh shit, like she looks like an adult, but she's 15, Yeah. So it's an interesting dynamic.
I also think, I don't know about saying something like this, but I think this is just something that is like a clear and obvious fact, but a lot of people don't want to acknowledge it. But just with the way human evolution works and picking for traits,
mm-hmm.
and like generation on generation, girls in the human race are like hitting puberty earlier and earlier.
Yeah.
And it's getting to a point where, like, you look at girls who are in like middle school,
mm-hmm.
and they look like girls who like 20 years ago were like seniors in high school.
Yeah.
Or maybe further back, but
mm-hmm.
you get what I mean. Like,
mm-hmm.
the age at which girls start to develop adult features is moving back continuously.
Which is interesting because, like, what's the cause of that? I have no idea.
Well, I think the cause is like selection,
human evolution and selection. Like, realistically,
so the way evolution works,
Darwinism.
You select for a trait. I mean, we don't consciously select for this trait, but like, girls with the genes that cause them to develop adult traits earlier in life are being selected for because they're being mated with.
Yeah.
Realistically.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep getting selected for because kids fuck.
Yeah.
And the kids are going to fuck, the male kids are going to fuck the female kids who look the most like, adult. Yeah. And that just continues to happen and has continued to happen for like
hundreds of
years. And the result is like girls growing adult body parts when they're like 12 or 13 years old.
Yeah.
And so then, girls hit 15 or 16 and you can be like, damn, that girl's cute. And then you like look up their IMDb and you're like, fuck, she's 16. I'm a goddamn pervert.
Yeah. I'm not going to name any names. And I don't even think the girl.
That's fine. Just leave me naming names. It's
even the girl that I dated, dude, I was in 7th grade and I dated a girl, and I don't think I don't even think she listens to this, so I think it's fine. But the girl that I dated seriously, or quote unquote seriously, however serious you could date in middle school, in 7th grade, she had double D's.
In what grade?
In 7th grade.
Oh, that's
in 7th grade.
Insanity.
So, I mean,
the Korean girl in Squid Games is 2 years younger than me. So
she's 26. She's older than me.
Thank Christ.
She's a cougar, hopefully. I'm just kidding.
She's also got red hair in this like picture, this headshot.
Yeah, I mean,
she's so pretty.
Yeah, whatever she looks like, she's so pretty.
Yeah,
she's got those Korean features, dude.
Yeah, she really does. She's got that cat face.
Yeah, God. Anyways,
but
yeah, like the whole thing about like the people that we choose to mate with, especially in this day and age, and especially with the high amounts of teen pregnancies happening.
Yeah.
All those girls have this genetic disposition to develop earlier.
Yep.
And that just gets passed along from generation to generation. And teen pregnancy, at least in my opinion, really took off in like the 90s and early 2000s.
Mm-hmm. And it continues to get quote unquote worse every generation, where like, dude, there have been stories of girls getting pregnant at like single digit ages. Because their bodies continue to like advance in age
mm-hmm.
sooner and sooner with every generation.
Also, I knew a girl in 7th grade, 6th grade, who was pregnant. I knew a girl in 6th or 7th grade who was pregnant.
That's crazy.
And now if I go back on her Instagram, I think she has like 4 or 5 kids. But she's my age and she has 4 or 5 kids.
Who is having 4 or 5 kids ever? Stop.
Yeah. But her first kid, she had her first kid before her freshman year of high school.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Also, did she finish high school? Props to her.
I think she ended up finishing
high school. Good for her, man.
Yeah. I mean,
she's raising a kid.
She's a sweet girl. I mean, I didn't know her that well,
Christ.
but I remember walking around the hall and seeing her pregnant, And she
we had a
unfortunately,
few of those for sure.
She unfortunately got the stigma of being like quote unquote a whore because she was 13 or 14 being pregnant.
Whore is tough.
Or like everybody was like, oh, this girl, she's pregnant. She's
Yeah.
Like that's a weird thing that happens.
Or even just like, oh, she's pregnant. She fucked up, which is the very common stigma. I mean, I did that too. I have to catch myself, bro. I'm 28. I'm turning 29 next month, and I still like find out a friend of mine is pregnant, and I go, oh, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And then I have to catch myself and be like, no.
Yeah.
This is the time in my age group, in my like circle of people who I grew up with, where it is more than acceptable to be having kids.
Yeah.
Still not acceptable to me because nobody should be having kids, but that's a different story.
Yeah, that's you.
That's like me and my personal decision, but certainly I can't think less
of somebody because they have a kid.
I can't think somebody fucked up.
Yeah.
Or like made a mistake. Because anyone who's having a kid at 26, 27, 28 years old, that's a choice they made. And even if they did it by accident, they're not like, their lives aren't fucked forever.
No.
Because they're having a kid.
Yeah.
They're adults. It's weird to think about it that way, man. It's one of the like last remaining vestiges of my more childlike self.
Yeah.
That I'm having to like really let go of. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm right there with you, dude. I'm 24 and I see colleagues and people I went to school with having kids and I'm like, holy shit. Like, are you guys ready for that? But you know,
they're not.
I mean, no one's ever actually ready, but like financially, a lot of people my age are probably ready.
Yeah.
Or they believe that they're mentally ready. And you probably are. I mean, I still believe I'm mentally ready for a kid.
Sure.
The only reason I don't have a kid or I don't want a kid right now is because I don't think I'm financially ready.
Yeah.
But everything else, I feel like I'm pretty set.
I think setting aside my like moral ideas about how nobody should have kids because we have too many kids on the planet, I think like just at the bare minimum, my personal goalpost is you probably shouldn't be having kids. You probably shouldn't birth a kid until you have the money to pay for its entire life saved up, or like, you know, a good plan to pay for its entire life, at least as far as you're going to pay for your kid. Yeah. Like you shouldn't be having a kid if your plan for paying for the kid is, we'll figure it out when we get there.
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro.
Yeah, that's a really shitty plan.
I mean, a lot of parents have made it really far and been great parents doing it that way. But there's just no reason to put yourself in that position, man. You know? Like a lot of parents who have done it that way have, at the cost of their own lives, been able to make things okay for their kid. But if you just do a little planning and do things the right way, you can have it both ways, bro. You can have a great life while you pay for your kid to have a great life. Yeah. You just have to be a little responsible and plan things the right way. And I know it can't be that way for everyone. A lot of people get pregnant on accident, and that's a real thing. And we don't have to get into like the nitty gritty of having a kid and all that shit and all the politics that go into it right now. But all that to say, you know.
Yeah. In a perfect society, that's what we believe. Yeah. For sure. And I think I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I think so too. That's weird.
And I hope most people are that way. In their quote unquote perfect world, people shouldn't be having kids unless they're ready. Yeah. But we all know we don't live in a perfect world, so sure, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is. And also having kids, this is a really interesting thing that I've thought about for quite a while now. Having a child is really the last great bastion of primal instinct that you're allowed to indulge in. Like,
I would say it's one of the only. As a woman, for sure.
Yeah.
And then as a man to be able to say,
oh, yeah.
Oh, look at me. Yeah. I was able to seed a woman and give her a child.
And when you think about it, when you ask a person who has had a kid or wants to have a kid, why? No matter how intelligent they are, their answer is always, I want someone to carry on my name, or I want to create a new life with the person I love. Those are both two really, please forgive me, everyone. Those are two like pretty dumb, not based in logic.
Yeah, they're primal.
They're primal instincts.
Yeah.
And they're animalistic. And it's okay that they are. And that doesn't make you a bad person for doing it. But you just got to wrap that in a little logical thinking also. If you're going to do that, do it when the time is right and when you're capable of doing it, you know? But that's the last grand human instinct that nobody is going to question you for following.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to say you're a bad person for having a kid.
Yeah.
Except me.
That's funny. When you say primal things like that, I'm always like, hunting is a real primal thing, but a lot of people get shit for hunting.
Oh, super.
Yeah.
Super.
People hate, like, we're getting to a point where there's a lot of people in my generation and the generation preceding me that will shit on you relentlessly for hunting.
Oh, yeah.
But people really have to realize hunting is a primal animalistic thing that we have been genetically coded to enjoy. And I've never gone hunting ever. Mm-hmm. And I would like to think that I wouldn't enjoy it, but I know for a fact that once I get out there and I like have an animal that I've killed and like, I have the meat and supplies from it. Yeah. That's the most primal and animalistic thing that we've had, and that has been genetically coded into us since the Stone Age.
Yeah. And I will say
millennia.
Even taking it a step beyond that, I've been hunting a few times in my life as a young white Texan man. Mm-hmm. And I'll say that even beyond, like, I've never had a super strong instinct to kill an animal as far as hunting goes, just because, you know, I've never struggled for food. I've never really had that instinct activated in me. Mm-hmm. But as a person who eats meat and continues to eat meat, you can either eat meat or not. And people who don't, hats off. Because they are even a step beyond me in terms of foregoing your human instincts in favor of something that is morally correct. Yeah. But for everyone who is gonna eat meat, and this is something that people push back on a lot, but for everyone who is going to continue eating meat, you can either eat meat that you hunted yourself, or if you're really rich, you can eat meat that someone else hunted for you. But the majority of us are eating meat that was farmed for us. Mm-hmm. And meat that is farmed is obviously and clearly meat from animals that suffer for their entire lives and die terrible deaths, and they rarely know happiness. Mm-hmm. And the beauty in hunting is if you're eating, like, let's say you're someone who can afford and has the means to eat meat only from game animals. Mm-hmm. That means you're going out into the wild and shooting an animal that lived an entirely natural, presumably happy life up until that point, and then they just died instantly. There was no torture involved. Mm-hmm.
There was no GMOs.
There was no weird food that they weren't supposed to be eating.
No additives, yeah.
At worst, they were shot, and there was a few moments of terror until they died. But usually, if the person who is hunting knows what they're doing, they shoot the animal and they die within seconds. That animal, the quality of life that they experienced before, like in their entire lives up until death, is so much better than an animal who lives in a cage every day until they die through factory farming, which is where we are all getting our meat from.
Every single thing we buy from H-E-B.
That's right. Any grocery store.
Walmart,
If you get your meat from a grocery store, that meat is coming from an animal who suffered and was,
who was born in a cage,
born in bondage, and lived in suffering their entire lives. And y'all, I know it's not easy to hear, and I know you probably didn't expect to get this on the 6 Inch Kings podcast, but factory farming is goddamn one of the worst things happening in the world right now. Yeah. Those are like real animals, real living souls who are suffering every day. And the alternative to that is people who hunt, who are eating animals who lived normal lives and didn't have to suffer at all up until right when they died. Mm-hmm. It is a more moral way to eat meat, and the only thing more moral to do is to stop eating meat. And goddamn, if you can do that, do that. But if you can't, hunted meat is the moral way to go. I didn't mean to get up on a soapbox here, but I've just thought about this an awful lot.
No, I've thought about it. I think a lot. The vast majority can speak on, like, there's always those documentaries that come out about the meat market or how food is processed. Yeah. And a good majority of us have seen it. Sadly enough, I'm not strong enough to not eat meat because it's just so goddamn good. Yeah. And I think I'm in the majority there. But But a lot of
you're obviously in the majority
but
there.
a lot of shitty things for sure are happening.
Yes.
In the mass meat production market.
Yes.
And it's morally ambiguous for sure, especially for people that consume it. It's easier not to think about, but it's the same thing that you were saying, that if you were to have meat, you should have hunted meat.
Yes.
Because those animals are out in the wild.
Mm-hmm.
They're living the life that, quote unquote, is natural for them.
Yeah.
And even the quality of meat is substantially better.
Oh, substantially is really underselling it. The quality of meat is worlds apart.
Mm-hmm.
The quality of freshly hunted meat is it is the top quality of meat in the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
Because
people pay hundreds of dollars.
People pay through the nose for it. It is.
I mean, A5 Wagyu beef is just beef from cows that have lived the life of an actual cow.
Yeah. Well,
or a pampered cow, basically.
Wagyu beef actually has a whole different thing going on, because I think they feed those cows specific stuff.
Oh, really?
Because those cows are really kind of like unnaturally high in fat content. I've never looked into Wagyu, but that's always been my impression.
I've heard stories of like the Japanese grade Wagyu beef. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Those cows are getting like massages. They're having
really?
Yeah, they're getting daily massages.
Okay.
They're getting grass fed, obviously. They're having their time to walk around in an open plain, all that stuff. Like if it's Japanese A5 Wagyu grade, then those cows are living.
Yeah.
You know.
And
the respect for that meat and the quality of life that the meat goes through is a big thing in why people buy it.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of it, respect is a big thing that goes into meat.
Like well, if that's the culture behind Wagyu, then more power to them.
Shout out to Japanese people, bro. Yeah. They're all about respect, you know.
Absolutely. So that being said, to put a bow tie on the meat thing, if you are eating meat, then an animal is dying for it no matter what. And I'm not here to guilt you for that, because I'm eating meat all day, every day. We're going to go get wings after this. Mm-hmm. But what I am saying is, if you're going to be eating the meat from an animal either way, do you want to eat meat from an animal who was tortured in a cage its entire life? Or do you want to eat meat from an animal that lived its completely natural life up until the moment that it died, like in seconds?
Yeah. We're basically saying just stop hating on people who hunt for meat if you're eating meat.
And trophy hunting is a different thing. Trophy hunting, for the most part, is something that is still okay to shit on, because what I mean by trophy hunting is people who go out and hunt just for an animal to put on their wall, and they're not eating that meat.
What do they do with it?
I mean, usually if someone is just trophy hunting, they're like trophy hunting rare animals, not like cows. They're or deer. Trophy hunting is like lions and elephants and shit, and that shit is never okay.
But can you not hypothetically eat the meat?
You can, but the problem is those animals are too low in numbers to be ethically hunting.
Okay.
Especially elephants, but also lions and a whole... Basically, if anyone is hunting... If anyone is traveling somewhere else to hunt to get to an animal that's more rare, that's not cool.
I'm on board with that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I don't think anyone who listens to this podcast knows a big trophy hunter, but if you know someone who's traveling to Africa because they want to hunt big game like zebras or elephants or lions, that person is a bad person. And maybe they don't know that, and maybe you need to be the one that tells them, but I doubt it. They probably know.
Send them the link to our podcast.
Yeah, send them the link. We'll let them know. So anyway, put a little bow tie on that. I think we're probably at about 2.5 hours here. Yeah.
2.5 hours?
I think so. I don't know for sure.
Okay.
But we're getting up there.
Okay.
You got anything else you want to hit?
That's it. That's really it. Now that I know that it's been 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Time flies, boy. I knew this was going to be a long one. That's why I put all my shit on chargers before we started.
Yeah, fair enough. You were ahead of the game.
So, y'all, it's been an absolute honor.
It's been a pleasure and an honor.
As always.
Thank you guys for listening. We really do appreciate the support.
Yeah. More than anything, when you guys send us text messages about how you feel about the podcast,
it makes our day.
It makes our day, man. Yeah. There's really nothing I enjoy more than hearing people's opinion about the podcast, positive or negative.
Yeah, we'll take both.
Honestly. So you guys enjoy the week.
Shout out to all the Korean women out there.
Shout out to all the Korean women. We love you. And that's it.
Yeah.
And
peace out.
We'll see you guys next week.